actually only have 4 players, 3 coaches. Here's the 4 players, Effie.
I am so excited to see Y and Faith Vian here. Obviously, these two have played together on Wings. They won a TI together, had a bit of a sad story afterwards with how the organization fell apart, but here they are. They were so close last year, and they are, again, so close this year. They are playing in the lower bracket, but they're still feared by a lot of teams.
Actually only have
Matthew
4 players,
last year
3 coaches.
before his retirement, so the entirety of Team Liquid is feeling that way, just feeling that pressure.
And he's playing like it's not his last DI.
Absolutely.
The way, like, he just not give a damn. Like, he's ready to go. And on the other side, there is also Puppy, the only player that has ever attended a single TI, and seems like he's ready to take it. He's ready to take it again, live that Aegis.
And he's doing it as a player all the time, because normally when you're old-timer, you turn into a coach. So you have the 3 coaches that have won a TI and are now coaching.
That's right. We got Zhao 8, we got Aoi, and we got Heen.
Interesting point about these guys is that Heen actually won as a coach, whereas Zhao 8 and Aoi won as players. So I wanted to ask you guys what you think is the difference. Does that make a difference? Is the experience as a player more important, or because as a coach you would have made these motivational speeches that you need to do before. As a player, maybe you can't do that, but you know the pressure yourself.
I would say it's a little bit of both, where the experience of being a player offers you something very specific that maybe someone who's a specialized coach doesn't have, but also someone who is a specialized coach who has been working with a team for a long time and is capable of talking to and motivating people in a certain way is also a skill set that being a player doesn't necessarily provide for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then there must be also such a world of knowledge in all those guys' brains about what it is like playing at a TI. And we'd love to pick their brains at some point, but we can't. But what we do have is a Dota 2 historian that is going to teach us a different lesson.
I see you're still thirsty for more from the Dota archives. I'd be happy to oblige you. One thing we've yet to discuss is, of course, what makes Dota truly shine. The teams. Disparate individuals, coalescing, united in a bond of kinship, of determination. A singular goal, to lift the Aegis and be canonized in the lore of Dota. Brave souls, committed, daring, intelligent, industrious. Legendary.
I think about Dota, I think about the first Navi. Come on, that's what kind of got everyone. Everyone was a Dendi fanboy growing up.
They win basically TI1 to TI3 in the finals.
That was like the hypest squad to play the game ever, in my opinion.
It's minute 3, we're all top, you know? It was like a bad Counter-Strike idea or something like that, like rush B, you know? We're just rushing B every game and we're somehow winning.
Team Secret, they've got an all-star lineup. They have been the ultimate favorite for very many months.
I think the original Secret roster was like super iconic. S4, Puppy, Kuro, that team was like super awesome.
Going to this TI main stage and picking first pick Shadow Fiend into second pick Anti-Mage. Sunglasses on, like I don't know what you're smoking.
If our tour wants to do some stupid stuff, you go with it, you know? And you make a good meme though. You make a good meme once you get out and lose after that one. Because the reverse video is too good, you know?
Sunglasses, that's the reference. It's fine, you know, you can pretend like you're the shit, but don't vocalize you're the shit.
Not quite how one would have put it, but indeed, as the fable of Icarus tells us, fly too close to the sun, and all those sunglasses will be good for is blocking the glare as you tumble back to earth, your wings melted. But not all wings wilt in the heat.
最喜欢观看的队伍是 TI6 的润石，因为就他们的战术打法都比较有意思，比较新颖吧，然后战术也比较多变。
The first team I was a big fan of when I was watching was Wings Gaming. They picked so many weird heroes and didn't understand anything. I was like, these guys deserve the win. Everyone else is just doing the same thing, while these guys are doing something special.
Honestly, like watching Lynx, it looks like they had foresight cheats or something. Like, they just kneel when teams are going for the towers, and Faithgun would already be TP'd there, and Shadow would be like hiding under the tower. It was something insane.
I think how quickly Wings went from an unknown team to the best in the world was really crazy. Like, people, there were like whispers about, hey, this team's pretty good and stuff, you know? And we got voted into that summit as like the joke team, like we were atrocious. And, you know, we scrim Wings and they beat us in like 15 seconds. They proceed to win that summit, and then they proceed to win TI. And we're like, wow, those guys went from like, who's Wings to, oh, well, wow, they're the best. Okay, that's who they are.
You couldn't help but not root for them. Like, they were like the supreme definition of like a dark horse.
我觉得国外队伍让我选，就是最能代表的可能就 OG 吧。因为他 TI8的时候就是在一个不被看好的情况下就夺冠了，很励志。然后过了1年以后，大家都忽视他以后，他又以一个完美的姿态去碾压了所有对手，继续夺冠。所以
other teams came to these events and they weren't even close to OG. I think the first one, TI8, I think LGD got really close, could have won. So I can't really say, but TI9, like, absolute domination. I don't think any team had a chance to beating them. It was just so ridiculously one-sided.
Ah, yes, OG. I wondered when we'd be hearing that name. The underdog story is a popular trope amongst players and supporters alike. It's hard not to root for those of whom failure is expected. But perhaps in some cases that expectation is misplaced. Some of these chaps really are jolly good at Dota after all.
For me, it's Puppy, just because, you know, he's the only player who's been to every TI winner. He's just been so good for so long.
I mean, Puppy was just the first, like, really good captain in Dota.
And he also played Dota, first Dota, and he was always on top.
I mean, of course I'm contending for that one probably, but it's but I'm sharing it with Kuro, I would say, and Seb.
Ну, я думаю, Себ, потому что это игрок, которому там уже 560 лет, который играет с начала Доты, поиграл там на всех позициях, не знаю, поразговаривал со всеми на всех разных языках.
Seb has been here forever and staying here, also winning majors and stuff coming out of retirement.
Like, he wants to win everything he plays. So he takes like personal offense when he doesn't win.
Nautio. Nautio is the most iconic players of all time for me. Mainly it's about his one, and then also the way that he leads the team. I learn a lot from him as well.
如果让我选那个一提到 Dota 就感觉国内国外都很有代表的。从团队方面来考虑，就是如果从职业选手的角度来考虑，肯定是 Notel。但是如果从就是个人魅力或者个人喜好的话，肯定是苏梅尔。
如果要我去第一时间想在 Dota 最能代表 Dota 的选手，可能会想苏梅尔吧，因为他当时就在我还不是很厉害的时候，给我印象特别深刻。
Look at Sumail. He made TI when he's 15.
I think he's like the poster child for like rags to riches, like pro player from nothing, just because he's just insanely good. And at TI5, there was probably the single biggest gap between a player and every other player at that tournament. He was just like completely untouchable. Everyone else could have just snapped their keyboards in half when they got on stage because they see this little 15-year-old kid on the stage. You know, you just can't do anything. He's just too good.
Dota allows all to flourish. Young, old, veteran players and the unknown. With each international, with each opportunity to clasp the ages comes a chance for glory, for a new order, a new master. Which player will drag his comrades to the summit of success and look down upon the bodies of their foes, broken and bruised at the foot of the mountain of victory? Well, this is the archives, not some kind of juice joint or snap house. Go on, get out. Go watch Dota if you want to find out. Go! Go! Good night.
Oh, that was a fantastic lesson with our Dota 2 historian, Pyrian Flax, a trip down memory lane. It's always interesting to hear the players' thoughts of who they think are the iconic
but the names that we hear quite most are like Puppy, Seb, Kuro, No-Tail, Zhao 8. Like, I think these are the greatest 5 players that ever touched the game. Some of them, like as talked in the video, they go way back to Dota 1 days, and they were also great at playing Dota 1. So, you know, they've been playing this basically for 15, 16, 18 years, some of them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're still active and still having an impact in how they play, how they affect Dota and the scene right now is just beyond impressive. But I'm really glad that they brought up Sumail, actually, because the legacy that he left, just kind of taking the scene by storm, coming into TI as a 15-year-old and winning it all, I think that achievement in and of itself is kind of a step ahead of a lot of the others for me, simply because he wasn't even a legal adult yet. You know, he doesn't pay taxes.
Everybody says this is the new Sumail. Like every year, there's always a new Sumail.
But they're never as young.
It never really happens. Very rarely happens.
Yeah, he would not be able to play Pango at the time, if Pango was available. No driving license, with 15 years old, cannot play it. But yeah, he had other heroes that he played, like just, I don't know. The way he played game back then was like completely different. And as they said, like no one was like Sumail, 3 empty spaces, then everybody else.
The way he played Dota, definitely completely different. And we're going to also look at something completely different. It is Slacks and Casey.
We are completely different. We're completely different in the best way possible. Guys, we've had a talk today. I know it's barely after 10 a.m., but I need you to act like you've had all the caffeine in the planet. Who's excited to see some Dota today? Oh, damn! They are not playing. Well. Looks like we have a real barn burner here. We've got both teams well represented by the fans, but I have been told the #1 fan of Beastcoast. Are you guys going to be nice? I know you're LGD, but can we have a handshake? That's what I'm talking about. Now, when you came up to me, you said, I am the #1 fan, the #1 groupie of Beastcoast.
That is correct, yes.
Now, why is that?
Well, if you check my Twitter bio, it says I'm the official Beastcoast groupie.
Oh, I didn't realize that Twitter was always correct.
Well, I mean, I'm married to my lovely wife, Paige, the brand director of Beastcoast.
Hi, Paige, get up here. Get up here. All right, tell me about your outfit. We are representing the mascot in style.
Well, this is Crest, our lovely little guy. He's our mascot. He's cute. Everyone loves Crest.
What about?
Crest is the Beastcoast mascot. They're a little amphibian. They're kind of like a Pokemon. Am I allowed to say Pokemon?
Yes, we're all friends. Don't worry.
They're kind of like a Pokemon, and they live in the ocean and near South America, and they're really cute, and everybody loves them.
And are we going to be wearing this the entire day?
Probably, if it's if the weather holds up. It's very warm in this suit.
You don't have to promise us anything. Okay. I want to hear one more time. Who's here for Beastcoast? Who's here for PSG LGD? Who's here for Slacks?
Okay. Before we go back to the panel, I did want to tell one little story. Every single day, this lady has been first in line all 4 days. She wakes up at 5 a.m., and it is an incredible thing. First in line, last to leave. I just want to know, what brings you in here so early every single day?
I just want to watch good Dota in a good seat.
Oh, what? Is the Dota good?
Yeah. It's good.
All right, the Dota is good! Give it up for the most dedicated fan in the arena, and we'll throw it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Slacks and Casey. Indeed, I like how Casey kind of ambushed the audience. Do you like Slacks? They're like,
yeah, we do. Yeah.
A little bit.
Very good.
Shout out to that girl, though. I respect it so much, just wanting the best seat in the house, so coming in before everybody else. That's true dedication.
And value, because there's definitely some great games coming our way today. So you want to have the best seat in the house for these. We've got 4 series coming your way. It's all in the lower bracket. 4 elimination series. This is brutal, but good, because this brings out the best Dota in all of these teams. We're going to have, of course, later on, we have Thunder Awaken and Aster. They got dropped down yesterday. They're going to play up against the winners of our first 2 series with OG and Liquid, a rematch from the group stages. And Beastcoast, PSG LGD will be our first match. Jenkins, which one are you most excited for?
I mean, these are all really brutal. You know, Beastcoast, LGD, you have either the favorite, one of the favorites being eliminated, favorite from China being eliminated prior to the event, or South America potentially losing one of their teams as well. Yeah, it's getting to the point where like entire regions are potentially going to be dropping out, which never feels good. But of course, at some point, it's got to happen.
And the saddest thing is when regions knock each other out, with Beastcoast and Hokori, for example.
Oh, they knock themselves out. Yeah.
If LGD wins today versus Beastcoast, then they're going to be going up against Aster next, which means that there's only, at that point, there will only be one Chinese team left. And obviously, both of these teams have a lot of fans and are carrying their own torch, so to speak. So it's going to be a little bit sad regardless of the outcome. But I'm really excited for this first game more than anything. I think that LGD have had an excellent story. They've never dropped down to the lower bracket before, so I wonder where it's going to take them.
Maybe this is what they need.
Yeah, and I mean, Beastcoast in the lower bracket, they play different Dota. They're just so volatile, and they did manage to beat EG, which was a little bit of a surprise there, you know, considering how well EG played in the group stages. But Beastcoast, you know, when they get there, they just some different beasts. Like the way they play, that you know that, and if this team gets momentum, I think this first year is going to be really interesting.
They've beaten LGD before. ESL One Fall, they 2-0'd them. However, in group stages, in the last year, it is they're 0-2 in Animajor and 0-2 at TI10 to LGD. So it depends on what version of Beastcoast we're going to see and what version of LGD.
Yeah, who knows? LGD in the lower bracket, as Effie said, we don't know what that looks like yet. We obviously, well, we do, because they did 2-0 Boom.
Looks scary.
It
looks really scary.
But just speaking of which form they're going to be in today.
Oh, hold your horses, Effie. It is time. It is time for our first match of the day. The horn has sounded, and that means we need teams. Bring on PSG LGD. The most versatile team in Dota 2 at this international. We have no idea what they're going to bring to the table other than some top-tier S-class Dota 2. The same, though, for their opponent is Beastcoast in the lower bracket. A different beast indeed. Beastcoast coming on the stage. They are already guaranteed top 8 with this exact same roster, though. They did manage to get top 8 before. They want to go further this time around. We got ourselves C-Smile. Give us an extra round of applause for C-Smile, please. Unfortunately, the rest of his team has to play from the hotel rooms in isolation. So extra love there on the stage and extra respect. This team, regardless of whether they are in isolation or not, they are going to give it their best. And this should still be a tough series for either team. Who's going to be the one that you're looking forward to most, Lacoste? This man right here.
Definitely, this is the guy that, you know, he is setting the meta trends with his heroes. This is something that he does so extraordinarily well that every region is like, oh, Zinki, you know, we need to see what he's doing to be able to copy that. Not necessarily copy to full extent, but also like take some ideas from them and then try to implement that into your own team.
Yeah, actually, I remember when he was one of the first people to play the 4 Null Talisman Coddle from the support role. He was one of the innovators. He's constantly playing it in his pubs and asking for it. And this was before Coddle was the beast that he was in the meta at that time. So thank you for that, Zinq.
Nobody knew you could one-shot creep waves with Coddle until you go this ridiculous build. You're like, dude, you're a support. What are you getting Null Talismans for? It's like, oh, you can one-shot waves now. And these Coddles were getting so farmed. I remember the LGD, they also did the IO Helm Dom, where the Lycan shared the unit, and Jinkyu was running around with the shared microcontrol unit. It was insane. Like, this team is so innovative.
We also can't forget their carry axe that they popularized and perfected around the time of the Animajor last year. That was one of their best performances, and also they were the trendsetters in that regard. It just became in every game, in every pub afterwards. But yeah, just going back to Beastcoast a little bit, unfortunately, they are sick and they can't be playing together, but that also means, Sheaves, that they're playing without their coach.
It does indeed, Jen, because that's going to be, it's going to obviously hinder them, but at the same time, this squad has been together for so long. How much do you think it will?
That's what I was going to say, is I don't think, I think this is the team that would probably care the least about these restrictions.
Potentially. I remember watching an interview with Stinger, and he basically mentioned that they were uncomfortable during the group stages, but got better around day 3.
Well, let's bring us on the draft for this first game of the series.
PSG LGD versus Beastcoast. Game 1.
Game 1, and so much on the line for these teams. PSG LGD, we said it at the first day of the entire event. If PSG LGD doesn't come first, it's a disappointment for them. And for Beastcoast, they stuck together with this roster after TI9 because it worked, because they got top 8. They would love to go further this time around. Of course, last year was a bit of a disappointment for them, but they stuck together, and here they are again, going further for both of these teams. I mean, top 8 is nice. You look at the achievements, it's like, wow, you came top 8 at TI, that's great. No, they
you're
want to
not
go
satisfied.
further. You're
no
not
one's satisfied with top 8, definitely, because if you're carrying the momentum, like with each win that you get, like you want to go further. And I just want to mention, like, K1 as a carry player. He's the guy that did set a lot of trends as well. People were studying his farming patterns.
Yeah, they were.
You know, you are familiar with Arteezy farming patterns, but K1 at that time, like he was stepping away from his own team. Team needed to play 4 versus 5 pretty much until he said, "Okay, I'm ready, guys."
He demands salves. He demands clarities. And the funny thing is, he does this in pubs too. It's just how K1 is. He just thinks his brain cannot work in a non-efficient way. I do want to say one thing about Chris Luck being the only one on stage. He's probably the one guy that would find this really funny. Like he's such a troll. He is such a troll. You can see him in all of his interviews trolling Avo because he knows that Avo won't want to directly translate what he's saying because it just sounds stupid or it's goofy or something. So
And I also want to mention that when RNG played on stage, it was only Noah. He won the hearts from the community, and C-Smile probably going to do the same thing, you know, being the lone warrior there.
Absolutely.
But speaking of RNG, it was Somnus, after he announced his retirement, found Ame in a pub right afterwards and basically cheered for him. Ame said in an interview that it made him emotional, but he is just carrying that torch for him right now.
Ame's too buffed at the moment.
Yeah. But to just look at the draft a little bit, I think it's actually really interesting what Beastcoast did here, because yesterday LGD played their Undying first pick, and they paired it up with a Visage on 8th. So I was wondering what Beastcoast's approach to that would be, if they would play against the Visage, but they decided to just take it for themselves, even though when you think of Beastcoast, Visage doesn't really come to mind. So I think that's really cool. I wonder if they've practiced it before, if they're just super confident in it anyway. I mean, this is a team that can play every hero. And Go ahead, Lucas.
Okay, I'll go. It's no surprise that they picked up Snapfire in the first stage, because this is the most versatile hero for Beastcoast. They do play it at 4 out of 5 different roles, which is pretty impressive. And also, I mean, having that flexibility does so much for your team. And against one of the reasons why Snapfire is so popular, not because Undying's also there because of the Tombstone. Snapfire is the only hero pretty much besides Ursa. It's a better version of Ursa that can kill the Raid Pact, and it's Raid Pact meta.
Exactly. So that is definitely the reason why Snapfire got catapulted into success right now. And this happens often with heroes when they're picked to counter specific heroes, but then teams remember just how good they are and how easy they are to first phase. This happened with Lion during the Animajor last year, when people kind of forgot about him until Puck was the #1 hero in the meta at the time. Yep. So he was just picked to counter him, and teams remembered that they could pair this hero with a lot of things and first phase it. So that basically happened to Snapfire, who had been a little bit forgotten. But obviously the little shredder, excellent in killing Tombstone, and she's just a strong side laner, so you can play that early aggression versus LGD and just try to make their lanes harder.
The nice thing about Snap as well, aside from the ability to like kill these like ward type units, is the fact that you just never lack damage. Like you can go for basically any other heroes. You can go like late game, team fight, whatever. You know, low cooldown stuns. And it's like if you want to kill somebody, no matter how far behind you are, if you stun them and then follow up with the Mortimer's Kisses, they're going to die 100%. And I think that's a reason why a lot of people really like Leshrac as a hero. Batrider maybe a little bit weaker, but feels the same. Shadow Fiend, like these heroes, no matter how far behind you are, you always have the comeback potential of pressing a stun and then the big ult.
This is one of the, I'm going to call it a support, we don't know where it's going to go, but one of the heroes that does scale so extremely well into the mid game, into the late game. Like just, some of the heroes do tend to fall off. Like for example, I don't know, Undying here, you know, if he's not having a good time in the lane, the hero is just not going to give 100% of what he's supposed to do. But Snapfire, you always have team fight, you always have save for your own team. You do have, like as you mentioned, these ward type units that you can kill. Just overall well-rounded hero.
Yeah, and just we mentioned the Leshrac briefly a little bit earlier in conversation, but I think this is a very high value hero for both of these teams. I think Beastcoast mostly are going to be looking to pick it up for themselves. It's one of their staple heroes, particularly on Whisper. But if you pair it up with something like a Visage, who gives you the early tower push and aggression, and of course the Snapfire with her minus armor, not only does it give you objectives, but it gives you that death wall that everybody is so raving about this match.
Lesh has an 81% win rate in main stage, and I think the games that we've all watched, it looks amazing. Even the games that it loses, it is a very difficult problem for the enemy team to address. It seems like Bloodstone's just a little too powerful.
But only in his hands.
Only in Leshrac's hands.
Not tied to any other hero. Like none of the heroes do build Bloodstone.
It's like the Meteor Hammer of this patch. It's just OD Meteor Hammer, and now it's only Bloodstone Leshrac.
Oh, you don't like the Naga Meteor Hammer?
I guess that was a like one in. Occasionally, people would do the Naga.
I don't think it was great, but it was definitely fun. Because you felt really good if you pulled it off, because it took a little bit more skill than the other
you're
Meteor
stunned for
Hammer.
1.5 seconds now.
Do you remember the Nyx Meteor Hammer?
That was cool.
That one, a couple of heroes with the Meteor Hammer,
I
right?
enjoyed that one.
And yeah, Pangolier, so far he's not afraid of any of these heroes. PSG LGD did a good job protecting him in the second banning phase, removing the Bloodseeker, Batrider, all these abilities that go through match community, even Naga Siren with the Aghanim Scepter, which is not that popular, but could still work. You know, we've seen different builds on Naga these days where they tend to play map a little bit more aggressive, play with the second item with the team.
You know, with this Enchantress coming out, not only does it add to the early aggression style that Beastcoast seem to be building for themselves, it also opens up the potential to Mirana, who's become a lot more popular this TI. We've seen her played in the 5 role and the 4 role, and a lot of teams, even Secret, have played it in the offlane role on Resolution. So this could be something that LGD are looking at simply just to counter the creep in the early game. It wouldn't be bad. You can pair it with something like a Sand King or any kind of stun setup on the offlane. But if you do that on the side of LGD, if that's the approach that you choose to take, you have to pick some versatile team fighting type of carry.
Yeah, and also Enchantress does provide the spell mechanic against Pangolier, something that is very annoying if he gets the shield crash off, and yeah, there goes the Mirana. 2 range heroes, like Beastcoast, they don't have really heroes that jump the backline. No, they're gonna need to have something that like these heroes are afraid of. Puck is still available against Mirana, against the Pangolier role. They do have like 1 silence, no reliable stuns. This could be a good Puck pickup.
I don't like that for Beastcoast though. I feel like they've already got these 3 backline heroes, and Puck is something that's a little bit dangerous, right? I think you kind of have to go the double melee route here.
So they go for the Void pickup, which combos really nicely with the Snap. Mortimer's Kisses into the Chrono. You're going to kill almost anybody, but it's also a hero that can just like sit on the Drow. You can do it without Chronosphere. You just BKB, jump on the Drow, and she loses all of her damage, and none of the other heroes do anything to you. Or you Chrono her if she's too much of a problem, and you kill her from full HP.
I've seen this matchup go both ways.
It goes both ways.
Because if Faceless Void doesn't get his timing on a BKB, it can get rather difficult. The silence does ruin the hero, and they do have decent amount of burst damage on side of PSG LGD. But looking at some of the save mechanics that they have on Beastcoast, you do have like healing from the Enchantress. You do have Cookie that could push you out of the trouble. Even Visage Bird to split up the combo potentially from PSG LGD.
But not only that, just on the topic of Faceless Void, he offers utility in that he can stop the Pangler's Rolling Thunder if it's too much of a nuisance, right? It's not the ideal way to use the Chronosphere, but it is a BKB piercing disable. It also gives him a way to kill the team's Tombstone if it's in a bad location, right? You Chrono, kill the Tombstone, get out if your snap is compromised. I think LGD might be going for something like a Centaur here, actually. Because if you look at this Drow Ranger, the only thing scaring her right now is the Faceless Void. But if they have another means of disengaging, she already has these two heroes to body for her in the Undying and the Pangolier, right? I think a third one would be just the right amount that you need because
Beast would be kind of sick. It's like,
Beast is cool too.
It's like similar, except it beats the Void. Well, then again, there's the Enchantress, so you can't go the Boar build again. That's why Void Enchantress is so nice, because you can't go the Boar build to beat the Void, and then the Axis build, I think Void does very well against.
And PSG LGD did ban out the puck because they have limited amount of silences. There is, Drow Ranger silence, but it's very difficult to execute. Like your Mirana doesn't really have a setup to kill the puck, so they need, like something elusive could still work out really nice for Beastcoast.
There's also Tiny still in the pool, which, oh no, I can never see the first phase.
The first phase bans are always...
But that archetype of hero who can play on low cooldown and who can jump the backline as well, alongside the Faceless Void, would be a really nice thing for Beastcoast to have, because I don't think they want to be in a situation where they're depending entirely on their Void to be able to take these fights. I mean, obviously the Visage does something really cool that other heroes don't, in that he forces enemy teams to play into him, because if they don't, he's just going to take all of their towers. But you need a hero that can capitalize on that right now for Beastcoast.
Mars's ban, we're looking at probably like a melee hero. I agree with you, Effie, in the fact that like they kind of need somebody to go in front line for the Drow Mirana, a stunner, so like Sand King Slardar maybe? Maybe go for the Slardar. So minus armor on top of the Drow, reducing armor to 0. Quite a lot of damage between those two heroes.
If Beastcoast needs more tank in the front line, there's still Kunkka available just to be able to have like reliable catch, because they're also like they lack a little bit of a playmaking coming out from the mid lane.
And a frontliner. Like they kind of need a guy to run in.
Yeah, I mean, this is Beastcoast. What if they just do some, what if they just flex the snap to mid? I don't necessarily think it would be bad either.
So if they flex snap to mid, then it means they're looking for a 4 position.
That's just a potential. They don't necessarily have to do it, right? But that is what Beastcoast were famous for way back in the day. It's what kind of got Chris like some of his notoriety, is that snap mid that he just unleashed upon other regions, and they started to do it too.
It will be the Storm.
So backline, another backline jumper for the Drow. They're going, and also a hero that can jump and kill the Pango before he gets his roll off. So they're kind of doubling down on this backline jumping.
And also having Snapfire plus Storm Spirit, you even like Faceless Void, you always have kill opportunity in this game, and there's no real like counter to it other than Undying Heal, which is not going to be enough.
I think that the Storm Spirit is good simply because there is a lack of real disables on the side of LGD, but I do feel that LGD have really good heroes to take this Roshan early and just play tempo. Like this Slardar minus armor is going to shred this Visage, and if Drought gets a couple of items, Mirana does her job, rotates a little bit early, and they're playing around this Tombstone, then I feel that Storm maybe will not be in a position where he can play into that, because it is a hero that needs a little bit of time to pick up some items.
Yep, sounds like a well-rounded lineup for both teams. We're just going to have to find out which of these two teams will get a head start in this best-of-3 series. We'll play a little bit better in this first game, and we're heading over to our commentary team to do it. It is Trent, Lyrical, and Gunnar.
Thank you so much, Shiver, and my goodness, Dota fans the world over, we got a great one for you today. Beastcoast facing off against LGD. I'm so excited. I can't wait for this game. These two teams are awesome. How you guys feeling about the draft, though?
I think it's interesting how it played out. I'm a little worried for Beastcoast offlane, but Whisper has been owning this whole tournament. He's probably the best offlane in this tournament right now. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays it.
He's got to pick it up. And we were wondering right till the end what he was even going to be playing, right? We talked about this like Snapfire a lot, like where it's going to be going, and then very likely though we're going to be picking this up with the Visage to carry things through. So the question is, who wants to take that early edge, as the panel was talking about? Who can really get that first big objective and carry the game from there? And how much can you do on the Storm Spirit? Coming up with that final pick, giving that option here to our man on the stage.
Right. Well, in the early group stage, this pick was looking insane. There were like 10 picks, 80% win rate, and then I feel like there were a couple of losses on the main stage, but now pulling it back here in this elimination matchup, this would be so huge for either of the teams if they could make it happen. But as we get into this game number 1 of this best of 3, the crowd feeling ready, feeling the love for both these squads.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot on the back of Chris Huck this game to have a lot of impact on the Storm. He doesn't have many stuns on his team besides the Chrono, and you don't want to depend on Chrono to do everything for you. And it's a good matchup, Storm versus Pango. It's kind of one of the more famous matchups. When you pick Pango, you think Ember, Puck, Storm is the big 3 to counter you in the mid lane. So he has a little advantage draft-wise, and it's just a lot. He is playing versus Silence on Drow. He's playing versus the Pango, which, you know, in some cases is good versus him with the built-in BKB, even all the save from Undying. So he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, it's not like a hex, but, you know, it's if you make one bad zip a little bit too close, you don't have that initiation coming in first from one of your allies. Certainly could be a problem there for C-Smile.
Right. Well, and we also should mention real quickly too, there's, you know, so much that's kind of been made about, okay, the aggressive style that we see out of South America and stuff like that. And I think that's very true for Thunder Awaken. But when you look at Beastcoast, this is a team that's very comfortable going into the late game. And with this lineup, you've got a Faceless Void, you've got a Storm Spirit running out there late. There's some interesting stuff going on. Is there a particular team that you feel like you favor if we get to that late game scenario?
I think still probably LGD. Beastcoast have a more early mid-game timing with the Wraith Pact on Visage. LGD don't have a Wraith Pact buyer, so this early, you know, 15 to 25 minutes where the Wraith Pact really matters is in Beastcoast's favor. In addition to, you know, that's the big Storm timing. He has this Ag timing later in the game, but there's not an amazing follow-up outside of a snap, I would say. So probably when it gets to late game, the power of Drow Slardar will kind of kick in once we get to the 30, 40 minute mark. But I think early game, it's very good chance that, you know, they get run over by Enchantress on the pressure mid, Visage on the pressure bot, even just a random Chrono here or there, getting some important kills into Roshan.
Like you were pointing out there, Lyrical, certainly not been their forte necessarily over the year as well. Like when you tend to tune into some of the Beastcoast TBC games, you'll often find that they're behind.
Right.
You know, they tend to drop sometimes in the laning stage. They don't quite get like that same aggression as like maybe like 2 years ago, where you'd always see this rotation of like Hector's playing a stun in the carry lane, right? He gets the stun into the rotation from mid.
Speaking of some rotations, Ame in a lot of trouble as they run him down. He might just be dead as the chase continues. That is a first blood Whisper claiming this early. You get this start for a Visage can be very scary as the lane goes on.
One of the big things with Visage is this hero plays to win the lane. The entire concept of the hero is use all of your mana to deal so much damage and hope you get the kill so you buy the mana back, which was, you know, one of the slight concerns about Snapfire. You can't melee body up for the Visage. It's a lot of commitment if you go in, but they get the first blood. That's a lot of regen, some stats that Whisper will get, and now is where the lane looks hard.
Yeah, that's where Wise going to put in that big work there on the Undying. Of course, a hero well known for trying to do this, right? Bully right back. Also, just trying to spend all of your gold for mana. Sitting with a full-on fruit stand here of 6 mangoes, ready to spam some decay.
Yeah, and in the mid lane, I think this is where the supports really want to rotate, especially the Enchantress. I think we're going to see an early rotation at even the 5-minute mark on the Siege, where, you know, nothing to say maybe dies once, even he'll die again, and that's where the game completely breaks down if it happens.
You're seeing Stinger up there also already trying to put some harassment and took over the range creep. That piercing damage, pretty good at being able to deny out some of those creeps, but needs to watch out for the arrow coming from Xingqiu. So we'll keep our eyes on that, but again, down bottom, the aggression and why just drops again. We talked about Whisper. Watch out for this guy. He has been having a hell of a tournament.
Yeah, and this is one of those issues with Undying. Like, you see it early in the tournament, and obviously the hero's still very strong, but there's certain matchups that you don't really want to be playing into. You're hoping for like double melee strength heroes, right? That's kind of the dream. And what do you got here? You have a range strength hero and you have a Visage, right? People are always like, they understand that Undying's still strong, especially through like the mid game and even some parts of the later game with the vision from the Tombstone. But when you can find these lane punishes, that's where it feels like you're actually like able to sort of remove some of the benefits they're getting from that hero.
He just keeps buying mangoes. He brought another one out too. So why? Hopefully going to be able to use those. If he keeps dying, that is not going to end up serving him too well. But
a lot of free mangoes when you die.
That's fair.
But yeah, so Visage is the way you beat Undying a lot of the time is Zoo. A lot of summons, and Visage has the summons. He has the laning versus him. The birds kill the Tombstone in the mid to late game with all the attack speed. So really nice matchup. It's generally just that Undying has a slight edge in the lane if his carry is able to be aggressive with him, but they don't really have have the opportunity. I think they kind of lost it, especially with that first blood, just giving so much gold away. And now LGD just hoping to go for an even lane bot.
It feels like so often you'll see the position 5 try that exact same play, where they come down in the lane, you're really hoping to catch the carry, and rarely works, but that time that it does, it just does so much for you. It reminds me of like trying to snipe the early courier mid or something for the mid laner's bottle.
The bounties and pubs.
Yeah.
Level 1, sitting with a ward, sitting behind the tower.
That's the nice way to go. Well, again, this bottom lane, definitely very happy for it for Beastcoast. Nothing to say, gonna take some pressure mid and see Smile right on top of him. Oh, miss uphill. Oh, gets out of there, just barely.
It's the whittling down though, right?
ZinQ is walking behind him though, on the mid lane.
Yeah, and this has been something for these Miranas.
Oh, a nice move. ZinQ, it's got him caught. Can he survive? Fairy Fire, try turn. Oh, see Smile, able to live. See Smile gets the kill first. Oh, he turned a catastrophe into something still not great, but better than nothing.
It's not the worst. Gets XP. He gets to TP back mid. He's missing probably around 3 creeps. So it's neither of the mids actually get really an advantage from this. It's mostly that now he gets the full reset, but Ping obviously gets the battlefield now from Mirana, so could be worse.
At least it was exciting, right? You know, kind of gonna cheer a little bit. This is all good.
Ever the showman.
It's these main stage Miranas, though, sometimes struggling for these earlier plays. Some games going really well, other not so much. As now ZinQ can run to Stinger. This is a tried and true matchup for the Mirana. Obviously, you can try and arrow into the creep if you can, but look at that positioning from Stinger to ensure it's not going to be possible.
Very well done. Yeah, they're definitely taking it to him here on the earlier side. And, well, Hector, in the meantime, up top, K1. Still able to farm, but you can see that in spite of some of those nice moves and the lane going well early, the CS heavily into the favor of LGD.
Yeah, Whisper has, he's 2 kills right now, but he only has 10 lasted, so this is the draw and dying. Just a strong lane to just sit there, lasted. If you can't push them out, they'll always LCS you.
Runs rolling the dice up top here as well, and a jump in, tries to get Stinger.
It's not going to be quite enough. So ZinQ can't get that one. There's more aggression down bottom too. Just madness all around these lanes. Gojira in some trouble. We'll try and survive through as the K runs off. But Ame right on top. Denied. Nicely played. There was about 60 damage total there, and he took every one of them.
Something interesting is Faithbeyond, it looks like he almost might just rush the Mask of Madness. He picks up an early Morbid Mask, which I don't know if we've seen that much. Especially after the nerf to creeps. So the laning stage of it's a little weaker and it's better in this mid game where you're actually hitting heroes with it. So he probably recognizes that Hector can't jungle. He has to sit in the lane versus him, so he'll always be able to hit him. It gives him sustain as opposed to the offlaners usually by the Helm or the Ring of Health. So it's an interesting way to play.
Yeah, and Stinger, of course, like wanting to do a little bit of rotations early on too. So creating this 1v1 scenario that you want to be advantaged in for the Slayer.
Nothing to say, gets level 6 first, and C-Smile will now get it. So
Faithbeyond, yeah, I feel like it's just like a dice roll up here, right? Like one good bash from the Faceless Void, turn into something, one good arrow.
Perfect.
Everyone just battling over these creeps, the Harpy spams it out.
Keeping
the 6-minute rune, very important for both teams.
And it looks like it is going to spawn up top. C-Smile picks that one up. It's an illusion, so not a kill rune, but can get him out of dodge if there starts to be some trouble. Still very even early on here as the rotation comes down bottom. That keeps him alive in case of a gust, and Ame is just going to fall here as Whisper. It's another kill happen, so good rotation from C-Smile.
It's really important when you're losing the CS in the lanes and you know that just sitting there extending the laning stage is not favoring you as much to just connect your cores. They bring the Storm to bot there. He's probably going to sit here now and just make it so that if Ame TP's bot, he feels bad. He feels pressure from the Storm. Now his Snapfire is getting experience mid, so he'll get an early level 6. And it's just a big question, is Ame going to TP bot, try to accept this pressure, or is he going to TP top and try to pressure with the Slardar?
Yeah, it's a tough call to make. And I mean, Snapfire probably, in my opinion, one of the absolute best 5s for when you're in this state of like maybe feeling you're a little bit behind, you're pressure to make moves. Getting level 6 on Snapfire just feels like the freest way to kill like any core in the game.
It's just so much damage, especially early when you get the Snapple around the 8-9 minute mark. Cores aren't even expecting it.
No.
They just get one stun, the Snapple just kills them.
Well, you can see up there too, getting closer on that Faceless Void ulti as well. The Chrono would be a huge setup for it. They get the root on the Faith Beyond, just trying to mess around with them a little bit here. But does get the deny from Stinger as well. The rotation, moving in, Snapfire right on top of him. ZinQ going to be forced to leap away, uses 2 of them to get out. So just being a little bit of a bully there as Whisper down bottom is also going to be in a big way trouble. Ame finds that kill. They drop the tombstone for it as well. And just like that, LGD, they pick up another one.
I think it's a little scary for them to bring all their supports top and abandon the Visage. I think they keep having success when they bring heroes there. Here's so much damage this early. If the Storm goes there, the Snap, they'll probably just kill the Drought every time they go, but they abandon him. The Pango walks over casually, gets a free kill, TP's mid.
Yeah, it feels like they're being pressured in terms of Hector. I just want to make sure that he gets off to a good game. Being a Faceless Void and, like I said, not really wanting to go to the jungle this early on, so that pressure is really hurting them a bit here. But another rotation here. Seasmile with a good rune.
What can they find? Faithbeyond interrupted before he can get the crush. And another kill for Beastcoast. You can see, though, that LGD, in spite of the kill advantage favoring Beastcoast, they're doing a good job of farming up the rest of the map, biding their time, waiting for their moment.
They're making so many moves, people can't even like rotate mid for the wave. They just like run back in time, so missing out on a couple creeps here. But Gojira gets there now, so we'll be able to grab that. And
also, interesting from him on the Snap, he's actually maxing his E and going Medallion. This is a build, it was like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
I think it was very popular. Nowadays, a lot of people go 4-4-0, they rush the Force Staff, they go the Shard. So I think he's trying to buff up the physical damage, especially from the Visage in this early game, give them a lot of tower pressure, tanks them up.
Yeah, you kind of have a choice, right? Where if you, let's say you go 4-4-0, you're essentially going to amplify everything that Storm wants to do. Those little gank plays, that big burst damage is Whisper, though. Again, same issue. Like the rotations.
Whoa,
really
he missed
well.
a miss. Oh, nothing to say. A rare miss for him indeed, and that Chronosphere just going to be used to get Whisper out of there. LGD not used to seeing those. That's not enough for the kill on the second go. And, well, Beastcoast gifted another chance to survive through it, and Hector getting away. Gojira moves in. They're not going to dive for this. The Visage Bird's also going down. Xingqiu shows up. Arrow connects. All right, this is a very weird state of affairs down bottom. After they didn't kill Whisper, everything else is just kind of
TP bot. Storms with full mana.
Looking for it. Jump in. LGD, they stuck around a bit too long. Silence, though, long duration cookie for round 2. C-Smile looking for the chase. Wants to play aggro here. But Drought keeps hitting him, and he has to back out. Now, this is all space for Faithbeyond up top to just keep farming. Well, basically, the only thing they get is a kill on the Undying. Very weird series of events.
And now a race to the haste rune in the river.
He gets it. So C-Smile picks that one up.
Okay, so Chrono gone. Was for the save, though. That's great. Obviously, Rolling Thunder being used there as well. That's going to be back pretty quick, though, if they want to put this pressure on the mid lane. Got to be looking for Gojira with the level 6 soon, though. Very close right now.
The really important thing is, as well, is all the TPs were used. Only Whisper has TP now, and he's going to have to TP to his lane to have some impact, and he has to resummon birds as well. Another gank, his birds die, and he's out of the game for 2 minutes. It's just scary for the map right now for Beastcoast.
Look at LGD. All 4 heroes immediately converge up top. They want to try and take this tower and claim one of these objectives, while simultaneously bottom, they're going on to Beastcoast a little bit here. See Smile with the haste rune. Out of mana, stepping away. But they do have those kisses ready.
Yeah, not much you can do in this situation. Nothing to say, sort of holding into the mid lane, so it'll just be a tower trade right now. But yeah, back to that build on the Snapfire, though. This idea of, do I want to go for this ganking potential with the high damage nukes that everyone usually goes for the Snap, or am I going to try and buff up this like tempo, this whole plan that we have? Because they could Roche extremely early at this point right now, with even just like the smallest win from Beastcoast, which is something that is also in the cards for LGD when you have this Slardar. So it could be a slightly earlier timing on that battle of the territory in this game.
Both teams have this really early Roche. Even the fight. Both teams have really nice fighting potential around the Roche pit. So the next probably 4 or 5 minutes is going to be, especially when it hits nighttime at 15 minutes, that's where teams are going to be looking for just one kill, forcing a Roche fight. LGD dropped the Tombstone, you can't really walk into Roche. The side of Beastcoast, if they don't use Chrono, you also don't want to walk into a Chrono.
I feel like the Tombstones have been extremely hard to kill, I will say, for a lot of the matches on the main stage, but this game pretty good from Beastcoast. Like, quite a few different range heroes, good mobility. Yep, Snapfire is like the ideal one, of course. We've often seen, though, unfortunately, the Snapfires have been missing, going for those uphill kills. And unfortunately, you're not getting any more attacks with those higher levels.
I also think the scary thing is that since it's maxed, you want to always use it. But
yeah, that's true.
For it now, Chrono connects onto 2, and Gojira immediately there with the big ulti. Rolls through, tries to interrupt. Will it be enough? Silence now onto C-Smile. He'll die, but they get 2 in turn. Now trying to get a little bit of separation. A good roll ends up bringing down Stinger, but then the cookie, and now onto Ame. A couple more punches. Hector has gets him for the double kill. They get the invis to try and survive through this, and nothing to say, still sticking around, but he might have stuck around a bit too long. Do they have any detection? It doesn't look like it. So like that, Beastcoast win a very nice fight here. Gets set up for a good mid game.
Yeah, that was a really nice chrono.
Yeah, they dropped a sentry in the middle of that fight as well there too, so unfortunately their last one being used, or maybe there could have been a chase opportunity there. Nothing to say.
It looked a little scary when Chris got stunned by the Pango roll after jumping in, but there's enough damage between the snap and the storm slightly jumping in on the chrono just to kill both Slardar and Dying.
Yeah, she was half the damage in that fight there.
Oh, the arrow! Xingqiu timed it perfectly. So Jira did not use that cookie that time around. So LGD, they're going to get what they came for here, maybe.
He's going to be on off cooldown too while he's dead. It hurts.
Not the Midas.
The pain.
LGD is probably just going to take the mid tower, and again, mid tower is very important. It opens up the map a lot. It gives you entrance to both of the jungles. It lets you push the mid wave out to give a lot of vision to yourself, so it even gives Roche potential. So with this win, even though Beastcoast probably take the fight win, the map win is in LGD's favor.
I love how involved Ame's been in these fights too, particularly with this build, right? Like just gets into the Dragonlance, but like having, have Falcon Blade, Wraith Band, Wand, like you're just such a strong hero in these engagements that even though you did go down that last fight, you can see like still well on top of the board right now in the net worth.
Yeah, and something also interesting is not interesting, is that Gus got movement speed fairly recently when you use it. So now Drows are able to show up to fights a lot earlier, have actually mobility instead of being a very slow hero, and we might see him take the town at level 10 as well to get another 15% movement speed. He took damage, so as I say that.
No, he's got enough. He's hanging out there. It's really interesting, the dynamic that we're seeing with these longer cooldowns that Beastcoast are playing around with. As soon as the fight, even if it's a loss for LG, they just run back in there ready to go for another round of it. And we'll have to see if Beastcoast can sort of match that tempo.
Yeah, Drow used to be one of the older school counters to Void, because you would lose the fight to Chrono, you would take Roche, you would take Tower. This was back when Drow Aura was way more global, this damage for everyone.
Back when Drow and Visage were on the same team.
Yeah,
not like this.
Wow. Another kill there. Stinger will drop, loses his creep to boot.
That's fine. There was a smoke coming through there, so tanks it for the team. Make sure that Hector gets out with his Midas build, right? Got to keep him farming.
Closer are we now? The Wraith Pact is about to be completed. Whisper even foregoing boots in this game to just get it that much quicker.
It's got wings.
The Visage.
He's a Windlace.
Yeah,
Stupendous.
And we'll see Chris Luck. He is probably deciding right now between going for the full Kai Sanj or the BKB. He just bought the Ogre Club. He has nothing queued, and it probably depends on how the next fight goes. If he's able to slow the fight down and wait till he gets to jump at the, he gets to wait for the perfect opportunity. He doesn't need a BKB, but if he feels forced that he always needs to jump in first, he doesn't really need to do damage, then he'll go BKB.
Yeah, that's a tough call this game, actually. Because like with Visage and Faceless Void as your other two cores, I mean, I definitely like the BKB a lot.
I like the BKB as well.
What a cool build by the Drow, too. You see this going immediately into the Shard after Falcon Blade Dragonlance.
Seeing a lot of this hypothermia. People are big fans.
But
very good versus the Void.
Moonlight Shadow now. LGD looking for a fight. They do manage to hit on that scan, but
I've noticed both teams really love the notice me spam. This has been evolving through the tournament. All the LGD games spamming it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Gojira.
You can even see it themselves, but yeah, he's going to be found. Cookies away, as there was a chance for a battle there, but backs out.
The sentry does clip that ward, so when he walks up the high ground, he sees it. Probably going to look to de-ward it and hope there's no hero still standing there waiting for him.
Oh, Arcane Rune there gets denied by the Visage Bird.
Well, more time just to farm up for Ame, and likewise for K1.
I wonder how much pressure LGD feel about taking this Roche.
I don't think they feel much pressure in terms of like, we need to Roche, it's very important for us. It's mostly that you're going to always watch their smoke paths, and that the way they slowly move around the map are always going to be angles towards taking the Dire jungle. And you see there, they smoke up there, they don't get a kill, but if they get a kill, they instantly would go Roche. So all of their moves are going to kind of not really go towards this bot area. It's a lot going to be towards mid or towards top, trying to get areas, get wards down. And once they get a kill, then they go to Roche.
Denied.
Midas used in the mid lane. Xingqiu realized that they're in the area. So they will wrap around towards this tower. It actually gives a lot of information that the Faceless Void is with them for this push.
It's okay.
He's away though now.
Not too close.
He's back to the jungle.
He's just baiting, He's Midas mids, they hear it, and I'm back to the jungle. And so one thing we talked about with the Pangos lately has been these Wraith packs, right? But nothing to say going for the Diffusal, the Blink, the more classic style, I guess, in this mid lane. And that means that we will have just the Wraith Band, or the Wraith pack versus no Wraith pack for now. From the side of Beastcoast.
Yeah, a lot of the Pangos that go Wraith Pact or the offlane, the mids generally have been going more towards damage. Even some Pangos skip Blink.
Yeah.
Because you can't chain stun with the BKB.
Here we go now into the jungle. They're going to, again, Moonlight Shadow, but you can see Dire's scan recognizing that they're coming that way and immediately spamming out the voice line. Whisper realizing that there's danger coming his way with nobody shown on the map. So another movement from LGD that does not bear fruit. Has to dodge out of that one. Then Q rotates up top. Gojira is nearby, and they will get that D ward. Down bottom, looking for it. Chase on to Stinger. The heal is there and gonna try and take a walk away, but eventually Faith Beyond will clean up that kill. Themselves another one.
And then the TP's top instantly. They're going to try to get this kill into Roche. Now that they get one hero, they want to chain kill 1, 2 more, maybe 3 heroes, and then just force the Roche. And that's why you see Beastcoast TP's bots try to avoid it.
Looking for Faith Beyond, who's able to dodge out. And are you going to try and go here? There's no way that Faith Beyond can do something in this moment.
That's a tough area to play with for a Pango, I think.
Say they'd recognize all the TPs from Beastcoast were towards bot. They can't get to the Roche pit now.
Very well played by LGD, and into the pit they go. So a little bit of just fancy movement around the map and baiting things out, and this is going to grant them an Aegis.
That was so much patience here from LGD.
There's also this perfect ward. Beastcoast watches the entire LGD, walks into the Roche pit.
Oh! Just jumps in though! They didn't get out in time, and the Snapfire ultimate coming down. Will it be enough damage? Dodges back away from the silence, away from the stun. Nothing to say, trying to get aggro here. But with the rest of Beastcoast chasing, that is Chrono down, and they need to get some more here. They try and pull in, nothing to say. He's controlled, he's gonna be killed. Can they find any more? They don't get the Aegis carrier, but they do find Undying Pango.
Yeah, close to also bringing down the Slardar there too, but it feels a lot better. We've got nothing to say.
Wait a minute, what? Hector jumps away, Force Staff out. Things are getting a little bit weird here as Whisper turns, ready to fight. The birds, they're on top of him. Ame goes down.
Stinger's still sticking around. They didn't want to bail on this.
Beastcoast, they're ready to keep fighting. Ame right on top of him. Why? Can't save the Trout. Somehow, some way, Beastcoast make it work.
You did your best.
Okay. They just kept chasing, and it worked out.
There's Ame piked on the high ground. I think he was trying to get an angle slightly on the low ground. He pikes himself, pushes the Hector away. He lives with just a sliver of health, doesn't get the last hit. There's no BKBs on the side of LGD, so outside of Faith Beyond.
How did this happen? Yeah, just stuck around a bit too long there. And
yeah, there's that bad angle, as you said. Not quite able to get it right there. And it's so isolated at this point, too, because, you know, we talk about how, like, sure, the Slider did survive, but obviously felt pressure to just bail. Had to go back, regen a little bit up before getting back into the fight. And I love the confidence as well from Beastcoast. So I think a lot of teams right there might have backed up and just been like, thinking that, okay, the rotations are coming back in. We've lost, you know, our Faceless Void isn't here. Storm's not that close right now. But they had the confidence there with the Visage and the big amount of burst damage that they have there to bring her down.
They're ready to go again, just like that. Beastcoast round 2 of this one.
And this is showing Whisper top on the lane, right?
They're right on top. The catch is there. Why? Do you have the answer? They drop down the sentry, but Ame, he gets enough separation. They did not have Kisses ready to go. Storm backs out. Stinger trying to escape. And it looks like with that, Beastcoast, they're going to lose Stinger, but everybody else gets out. Oh, man. If Ame died right there, we're really starting to sweat for LGD at this point.
That was a good attempt, right? Showing Whisper up top, very clearly on the lane like that, and then everyone else sort of sneaking their way made to try and bring down Ame quick, but they were ready there in the wings on the side of LGD to help protect them.
So this is a scary Beastcoast timing, as we said. It's you jump on the Drow, you kill the Drow, LGD lose a lot of damage. Faith Beyond does a lot himself, but Ame's kind of the centerpiece of this draft. Again, you know, nothing to say, goes for the Blink Dagger. He doesn't have a crazy amount of damage. He's going for the Basher next, which also doesn't really give him an absurd amount of damage. He's mostly playing to control the enemy and just create chaos and space for Ame. So maybe Hector just Chronos him by himself every fight with a Snapple. He dies. If he doesn't have buyback, the fight's over.
Right.
It feels so... I don't know, it's obviously been pretty incredible, some of the Pango plays, when you do get that good dice roll, be it the disarms, be it the bashes, but it's also something where you have to be very quick to react from the side of LGD to how you play off of those chain stuns, right? Like, oh, Storm's bash, you know, quick, Someone get the follow-up.
Right. No, absolutely. Well, and there is still, of course, a hero that we haven't really seen be able to make a ton happen yet, and that's Faith Beyond. Has gone for a little bit more of like this farming build. Mascaban has BKB done now and almost at the Blink Dagger. That feels like it could be another turning point here for LGD to give them more avenues to take these fights, turn things around.
Beastcoast don't have the greatest save. They just have a cookie. So I think his goal right now is to be able to get strong enough that he can go on the Void and kill the Void along with his Drow or Pango. Like just 2 cores jump the Void, you kill him. Beastcoast does a lot of their big team fight spells. And again, this is just it all goes down to the Aegis. Losing that Roche makes it so you can't push tier 2s without getting chronoed, and it just is scary for them.
The way Hector plays this too.
Look at this now. They're moving up. LGD know that they're going to be in the triangle. Can they take this fight though? They're going to be underneath a Beastcoast ward. The smoke on smoke action. They know they're in the area. Arrow, Hector, oh, he gets bashed right at the start. Roll through, round 2, can he get it off in time? BKB out, wants to jump forward, finds a couple, but it's not a great target. The chrono, he catches Nami on the backside. Immediately, see Smile right on top, they find him, but do they have the control? The birds drop a couple more stunts, 4-step to the low grab, keeps him fine for now. Faith Beyond ready to fight, going toe-to-toe against C Smile, and now on to Whisper. They're in trouble, they got to get the hell out of here, and Beastcoast lose it as LGD say no.
Nothing to say. He silently, after the roll, he walks all the way towards the mid lane. He's following Hector because he's Corrosive Haze the entire fight. He uses after the BKB, catches him on the mid lane. He goes down, and just, again, the chrono is really important for them.
Yeah, and it gets so spread out after that too, right? The Tombstone's on the high ground as well. Like, they had the vision, but they couldn't quite even just get the timing to bring it down. Gotcha. What a strange start to that fight too, right? Like, Hector getting stunned up, doesn't have the time walk to get rid of it right away too. It's been too long with everything happening there, and the kisses coming through, not quite connecting, but then it's sort of, you think this salvages it for a moment, right?
It just looks so scary. You can see Hector has to run away. He's not able to jump the Drow with his team. There's not much follow-up. The chrono, while he catches the Drow, also cuts off the whole team from getting to the Drow. They have to walk in a long, roundabout way around the bubble, and it's too slow.
Wow, they were able to make that one work for LGD. Of course, you think about how different that fight goes if Nothing to Say doesn't have the roll already going as they go into it. So really impressive performance from them. As LGD, that all starts seeing that they were going to move up into that high ground and then run into them after.
Now we're kind of like slapping down the old reset button here. We're going to look around, try and get some wards down that same area around Roche, right? And potentially like 2 minutes away from that's going to start spawning. Roche and tier 2s pretty much as the time of the game that we're at now.
And so this is the really impactful part of the fight. It's not actually just winning the fight and while they're dead, it's actually the chrono cooldown. So there's no chrono. We'll probably see LGD try to take the tier 2 tower because again, they all want this map control. Their entire goal this game is to get Aegis so that they don't die in the chrono. That's all they need to do. So anytime they use chrono, you want to take a tower and try to force an outpost.
You can see 50-50 just about. Slight edge towards LGD at this point in the game. They're going to get close, it looks like, to trading off tier 2 towers, both top and bottom at this point. Let's see if they actually get it. But we also saw that XinQ, he's the one that's eyeing up that next Wraith Pact. So it's going to be a significant amount of time before LGD have theirs completed.
I'm trying to think of a solution for if Hector gets gone on first. And they're really
not
like,
good.
No, it's really not. Like, you can't even buy one really. Like with these heroes, with these upgrades. I mean, I guess theoretically there's a snap save. Okay, there's one.
Gagging him.
That's a ways away though.
All right,
you know?
Start saving Gojira. Got your job.
But it just speaks to like how important his positioning is going to be for the rest of this game.
Yeah, the one nice thing is they changed the role so you can BKB between the chain stuns. He wasn't able to get it off in the last fight, but you'll need a lot of follow-up between the Pango roll, the Slardar Bash, the Mirana Arrow. There's a lot of different factors that will lead into it.
All right, now the chase. Moonlight Shadow heads on through.
Can't get caught if you're not with the team. All right, can't be first one dead in the team fight if you're not there.
I like this.
Holding a nice ward though. This is LGD doesn't really want to force it into the ward. They kind of want to bait the mid lane, and when someone pushes the lane, they want to jump. And anytime you walk high ground into a ward, you know it's there. That's when the fights get hard. They have perfect vision of you. They always get the initiation on you, and it's a little scary.
Oh, Crush to start. Good BKB. Faith Beyond trying to bring down Stinger. They're cooking him around. Gets a little bit of separation. C-Smile also not forced to use that BKB.
Wow, very interesting. That's an expensive start to a fight to go for BKB on the edge kill like that. And Hector now has a Manta as well, so isn't going to be forced that BKB necessarily
Looking
early.
for the chase. Big jump. Nothing to say. Will he get it off? He does. Rolling around back and forth, but they've already killed off the Undying. Now looking for nothing to say. They get him caught. And the Chrono on the side. Ame, he's in trouble with the Manta, the Bashes. Do they have enough to bring him down? BKB gets a little bit of separation. They don't have Manta to take off that silence. So Ame is going to get back home again, able to escape. Still a fight win for Beastcoast.
Well, unfortunately for them, though, it's not going to find the big prize there quite yet. Bit of a long wait here for them in the river.
And they, just as they said, all they want to do is jump mid. But they weren't fast enough on the connection on the Enchantress. They used the roll. He doesn't get the stun on the Storm either. So they have to back out. And there's also this really nice ward. It's left over from the fight in the Tricamp from 4 minutes ago that Beastcoast did, and that's why they get the jump there.
Yeah, it's actually crazy it's from that entire time. Yeah, a bit rough there, unfortunately, for LGD. Definitely not a team who you typically see like miss a clear like that after an engagement in that territory.
Chrono used, though. So another big timing. Now, even when Roche respawns, there won't be a Chrono. So a little window for LGD to take a good fight.
I will say also, if Faithion can get into this Aghanim Scepter, that's going to be another huge moment for them, just being able to stand in those puddles. But
they've also had a good ward hanging out here. They see Gojira.
See Smile jumped right at the start. Where's the save? Cookie out. The wave of day gets out of there. Oh my God, the Cookie save. It actually worked. But Whisper, he's the one that's caught now. Force Staff. Dude, Beastcoast, they're covering each other really well, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Faithion is too strong on this Slardar. Stinger controlled, also killed. LGD find another win here.
Roche
and this time, Roche is ready for him.
Well, you saved your Storm. That part's great, but obviously not having the Chrono there, they can't really fight. You're going to head immediately into the pit, and this is the big moment we've been waiting for. And Ame having so many struggles with positioning this game, picking up a Blink Dagger.
Interesting. A very different look for him. And they're actually not trying to go in for the Roche. Instead, they want to keep finding kills. Gojira in some trouble. C-Smile trying to interrupt and get his buddy out. And actually, Mice just do it. So raking the Blink Dagger of that Slardar, and they're buying enough time.
This is worrisome now for LGD, though. Chrono's up in 5 seconds. There's potential for them to contest this Roshan.
Yeah, looks like it won't end up happening, but with how much they delayed it from Beastcoast, very surprising, because honestly, it looks like it's going to be pretty free. The birds are going to come in. They're going to see that this Roche is dying right now. It's not going to be able to ruin any of their plans, as the Aegis and Shard will both be picked up there. And Shard currently in the hands of XinQ.
He's
just the courier, unfortunately. Wait, are you sure? Wait, what? Mirana Shard?
The fourth leap.
That's not your favorite?
I do like the fourth leap, man. They're giving it to the Slardar, actually.
The Slardar is really nice. It lets him not have to press ult before his crush, so he doesn't have to worry about kind of slowing down, missing an attack by pressing ult.
Yeah.
So it's all about the burst now for Void. If Void lives, Beastcoast probably have a good chance of winning the fight. If Void dies without pressing Chrono, without pressing BKB, I don't really see a way for him to fight LGD.
Yeah, of course, speaking of shards, also doesn't have the shard on the Faceless Void right now either.
They've changed it a lot so that it's more, you don't need it as much, but it doesn't become as good with it.
Right. You know, the interesting thing about this game, too, is that I think for either team, if you win one of these fights in the late game scenario, buildings are going to fall so quickly, whether it's with the Visage or whether it's with the Drow. It's just a scary, scary state of affairs. And uses the Manta, goes in, BKB out from Faithion, and then tries to escape. Hector, lifted, arrow. He is going to use it now, but could jump forward. Oh, if he saw the vision there, might have gone for the Chrono.
Yeah, I think the call was from Gojira just saying, like, I'm not there for the follow-up. We don't have enough. We're losing out on some Storm mana. Just reset. Like, we don't want to force a fight into Aegis uphill by their outposts. Like, this seems like a bad idea, guys.
It does feel sometimes like it's, you know, pulling everybody back from ready to just jump on them.
There's a lot of back and forth in the fights. Beastcoast has a lot of, they have Force Staffs, they have the Cookie, they have a lot of different jumps, so it always seems like they're able to kind of maneuver back and back and back, but it's all on, do they connect with the arrow, do they connect with the Pango rolls? It's just, at some point someone's going to get stunned, and whether or not the Void can protect by chronoing aggressively is the question.
It's a very interesting game when it comes to the terrain as well. There's like where the fights actually take place. Because like if you find these choke points with the Chrono, that's obviously going to be very strong for Beastcoast, but at the same time, choke points for a Pango. Rolls all over the place, better combinations. There's a lot of ways to get over top of the terrain as well for both teams.
And that's just down to who finds that initiation. Bloodthorn completed now on the Storm as they are heading towards mid for Beastcoast. LGD continuing their spree down bottom as we'll likely see a couple more towers fall in the duration of this Aegis.
I think Beastcoast has been doing a very good job in terms of the lane pressure, which isn't necessarily something I would always say is like one of their strengths as a team. But all over the map right now from like Whisper, Stinger, and Hector throughout a lot of this game to try and keep them in it.
Oh, jumps, back line, Whisper getting enough separation, and well, Faith Beyond might be in a little bit of trouble. He's pretty far forward. They get the pull for round 2. Hector gets a good chrono, but it doesn't find the Drow. That's not good enough. He's gonna kill off that Undying. C-Smile gets some separation. Ame wanted to chase, but can't quite go for it. Nothing to say, backs away, and the Tombstone is down. So they find 2 kills in the midst of the Aegis and with the bad chrono.
I think they could just jump a little too far. All the TPs take so long. It takes 7 seconds for even Drow to just show up to the fight. So now by that point, the BKB on the Slardar is out. I think they just chase a little too far.
Yeah, it's a bit of that dragging out the fights that you were talking about before. Able to sort of like break things back. Very good versus an Undying, typically, right? But that was excellent timing. As you can see, like we got Wraith back and we got the Tombstone here. And Snapfire, you only get so many shots, right? Only a couple, 6. I'm counting in there in the revolver, right? And hard to bring down both those targets. So still pretty good for Beastcoast, but again, it's that same notion of just like, okay, the chrono's down. What do we want to do now as LGD?
The other big thing is they glyphed the tier 2 bot, and it was not their first tier 2, so there's no glyph reset. The next 5 minutes, there's no glyph for Beastcoast, so LGD has the opportunity to push towers, but anytime you lose fights, if you're not very, very confident, like, they don't have chrono, guys, we can go. It's maybe you're going to step back, say, oh, we need this next item, we need to go together more, play a little slower.
Oh, Gojira, he's hopping all over the place, skipping some puddles here.
Good crush. C-Smile has to zip away from that one. And it looks like he will get away, and see if Gojira also does. Faith Beyond, is he lucky? I can't quite get him.
He's ogre flopping, he's cooking, trying to get away as fast as possible.
Also, there's something interesting is C-Smile went back for the Orchid, 3rd item, which isn't too common these days. A lot of the Storms have been going for a Witchblade or an Ags. He's going for the Ags next, but I think he's kind of recognizing that Nothing to Say doesn't have any defensive items, but thankfully for him, he's just picked up an Aeon Disc that's locked. So he's trying to just BKB, go in, jump out, create a chaos in the fight, and then his re-engage is when he actually uses the Orchid. That's when the BKBs are down, the Manta's down, the roll is down, you get the kill, and hopefully at that point the fight's over.
I feel like he's been getting away with a lot this game on the Storm as well. Like I feel like C-Smile's done an excellent job of just holding his BKB for the opportune moment. He's had a lot of times where I really thought like, okay, like, I would need a BKB here. With like one straight arrow, I'm just dead.
Or a bash.
I'm in way too much panic right now.
He's been playing it perfectly. Exactly what they need from him. And this Midas paying off, has the Mjolnir done now. Could think about a chrono again if they feel so inclined. But it looks like the call is going to be wait for that Scotty to get there.
It's actually, it's flying there right now, so.
He is mega farmed.
It's going to be very helpful if he is getting chain stunned up there. And as the game goes later, there's less and less concerns with this idea of just like, okay, we can go now to the chronos down because like fights tend to get like a little bit more spread out as
they also take longer.
Timers come out. Yep.
So the big thing right now for both teams are thinking, everyone's thinking about their carry players. They're still really important in this game. It's chrono the Drow, good chance of winning. The fight's maybe not over, maybe it's buyback, but that's all you need to do to win. And on the side of LGD, Ame is just thinking, how does he dodge the chrono? That's why he has the blink, that's why he has the pike. He wants to just not be solo chronoed. He can even hit the Void in the chrono and kind of dissuade him from killing his teammates. So both of them are going to be kind of playing this cat and mouse game where Void doesn't want to show because he always wants to be able to chrono, and Drow doesn't want to show until he sees the Void. So everyone else is going to have to throw their bodies in. I think that's why Faith Beyond keeps going first.
Jumps first. There's an opening, and can they bring him down? Yes. Why dead? Uses the chrono on Faith Beyond, and 2 of his other teammates also.
Really
go rolling inside. They will bring down 1, but nothing to say. Still ready to fight. But look at him. K1 right on top of Ame. The Shadow Blade keeping him alive.
Faith Beyond bought back.
Can they do it? Round 2 of the Zinq. They turn, they bash, they crush. C-Smile doesn't have any mana left. Has to get out of there. Whisper playing a little bit of intercept at the moment, but with the chase down, Ame coming in. Hector turns, tries to bring him down. Oh my goodness gracious, and kill him off. 3 dead for nothing. This fight is looking all LGD. As Whisper also, he too will die.
Yeah, they went for a cheap start to that fight, throwing the kisses on the Undying, trying to get themselves just 1 leg up in this engagement. But then the big chrono, right? Catching Faith Beyond, but also to the allies, so the damage can't come out there in time. That exact plan you were talking about, Gunnar, in terms of like Ame not being in there, just waiting that damage from the Faceless Void, just chucking that damage into the chrono. Beastcoast could not get enough of the side of this engagement.
It looks really good. Undying gets no spells off. He instantly dies, and Faith Beyond's stuck. Doesn't get his BKB off before the chrono. He goes down. But you can see how tanky he is. The Void has to use his entire BKB duration, the entire fight, the chrono just hitting the starter, and he buys back and shows back up in the fight.
Yeah, and the terrain coming to play for sure, right? Nothing to say, like dream situation. He can bounce off whatever he wants this engagement, gets a couple heroes through that big roll, and then of course C-Smile as well, finally getting caught very early without the BKB. Didn't have a lot left. And you know, I noticed that Gojira was also holding 6 mangoes in his backpack, so he's trying to make some cool plays for his Storm, but when you die, you know, not that helpful.
What a big opening for him. LGD, as Beastcoast are losing that fight with the Chronosphere, things are really going to start sliding away from them here.
It's a fairly late Roche. Still 2 minutes now for it to respawn. Gojira does take the little Shredder attack, so a little more helpful for the Tombstone killing.
Yeah, that's huge actually. And the Wraith backs, of course.
Yep. 2 big things that are just, you know, hit-based, right? You don't need to do damage, just hit it very fast and you'll get rid of it. Also, it looks like Faith Beyond's going for an Aeon, which I kind of like, because again, his job in this game right now is just to go in, BKB. That's why he buys the Ags. It tanks him up, gives him stat resistance, and just exist in the fight. And he forces the chrono, which is all he needed to do.
It does feel like there might be damage problems later and later, though, I feel like, for LGD, you know? Like, there's so much control, and like, we're buying these Aeon discs on your mid laner and on your off laner, but at the end of the day, if Ame is the one who, like, let's say, like, goes down at the start of this fight, it's really going to be tough for them.
Yeah, nothing to say, hasn't even combined his yet. It's still locked in his inventory. He hasn't felt any threat yet. And he also took the Rolling Thunder duration, which is not that common these days as a talent, but it kind of shows that both him and Faith Beyond just are creating chaos, kiting the fight out, stunning heroes, and just playing for this slow fight where at some point, Drow's going to proc her ult 3 times in a row.
That's not slow. This is the dieback.
Faith Beyond in trouble, starting to drop down low, but not dead yet. Bouncing back and forth, and C-Smile barely survives through that one. As they will find the arrow onto Hector. Manta jumps out, jumps back in. Chrono! Oh! He did it to him! And now Mirana already hit. Turns on to Ame, looks for a couple more punches. And Faith Beyond, he survived through so much of this, but as they chase him through the river, usually Slardar's strong there. Not this time. 100 seconds dead. The time walk in and back out was exactly what they needed.
From the brink of death into a double kill there for Hector, bringing it back there with the chrono. Whew. And the die back there of Faith Beyond, it's going to give so much space now for Beastcoast, and maybe they can finally get themselves near this Roche pit in a successful time.
It's actually the first time they're going to be set up for it. 80 seconds with no Slardar.
That was a nice jump.
See how close it is to just killing the Storm here. He lives with such little health. He gets out, and Hector just also gets caught by the Yules. It looks really bad here. He gets Yules, arrow, doesn't get his BKB off, Manta dodges.
That's a Scotty. Some health right there, you know?
I mean, it's a choice, right? To take that, you can always BKB out of Yules, right? So he decided, this is going to keep me alive. I'll be able to survive through it, and the plan was there the whole time.
Also, unlucky for Faith Beyond, he had a bash actually queued up, but he gets a first hit bash from Hector, just kills him right there.
He's smiling.
Unlucky, I guess.
Unlucky. It's always the bashes.
Arrow out. LGD, can they contest this?
They do have roll.
They're in the area. Roche is falling quickly, but Beastcoast, they're already in position.
Gojira, okay.
Hero's ready to go, man.
Yeah, he doesn't want any blinks happening.
And a full bot refresher. Jumps forward, pulls onto one. Ame controlled. And they have enough. The BKB, the turnaround. Trying to back out of there. Hector right on top of Ame, but they've already killed one.
Of course it was the Ags, right? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Ags from Roche.
Yeah, of course.
He was already queued up. He's 4,000 gold. But
Onsache, Xingqiu also going to drop now 10k gold in the lead. Beastcoast looking to come in here, shock the world, take down LGD. We'll see if they can do it in this game 1.
That's also why this third Roche is so important if it drops an Ags. It's 6,000 gold. Instantly swung every time you get the third Roche. It just...
That could have been any better, you know? Like, of all the heroes to get an Agnums at that moment, to chase down right after the fight, knowing you have so much confidence. And of course, you know, Hector obviously recognizing just how important that Chronosphere is. He's sitting here with the refresher. Chrono just came back up. They're on the high ground. They've got the minus armor. Going into these buildings here, they want to get a little bit of something here before backing up.
What more can they do?
LGD, mangoes, right? He's back in full man on the Storm.
He's ready. They knew the whole time this is going to be a lane of racks. They're bringing back nothing to say now, but the jump forward, they find why. He's in trouble. Ame trying to stop the bleeding, but there is no tourniquet here. It's all gone.
They just keep finding the kills and kiting them out. I think especially it's just Chris Luck. The amount of times he's able to survive, get pulls off cooldown again and again and again, just all they need
for
to
the
do.
crush, the roll forward. Starts the fight, the arrow is there. Where's the save? Looking for the cookie, gets him in a little bit deeper. K1 caught, that's Aegis down. This is the best that LGD can hope for right now. Can they keep it going? Looks for it. Hector, dude, he just goes in. Only for an undying.
Careful now, he's got one more.
Round 2. Chase, look for more. Gets out just barely in time.
How does this guy hold his BKB?
He's not afraid. Meanwhile, the Enchantress comes in and is going to just be safe.
Okay,
Fourth staff, cookie, everything. Beastcoast get out.
And they can't even chase. They know that the Storm TPs, but there's still another Chrono just ready.
Oh, the crowd's starting to get into it a little bit here. They're feeling it. And for LGD, again, this team that has made it to so many finals, been top 3 or top 2 year after year after year, this would be such a huge upset.
Casual 1K swing, 2 bounty runes just chilling in the Iranian jungle, you know?
And now Chris Luck also has a refresher of his own. So 2 pulls, he has to time this relic, so it's now like a 3.5 second stun just on the Storm. Pretty much 2 black holes now on the side of Beastcoast. That's not even commitment. He can jump in, jump out, not feel too bad. He has a lot of mana regen. Maybe more mangoes will come out from, you know.
And I don't know if you saw that, but the Storm Spirit, just a little lesson for your pubs out there. Carry some dust, folks. Even's,
explain yourself. What do you mean?
Have that support item.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Isn't he a mid?
Yeah. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
So they're going to look to push high ground. Again, they have only 1 Chrono right now, but it doesn't seem like LGD can actually take the fight to them. Ame just has to get a really nice burst on that Void. You saw how fast he died with the Corrosive Haze. That's what they need to do. Kill him in 1 stun and hope that's enough.
Yeah. The Silver Edge here.
Tower fallen, roll in, jumps out. A stun used, nothing to say, not doing enough. Meanwhile, Kisses come from on high, separating LGD, forcing out that Moonlight Shadow, but they are not willing to back out yet. As Beastcoast have another round of summons, waiting for that next creep wave to come through.
No more roll now, though. It's a really big tool that the LGD needs to use. Nothing to say his whole build is kind of around using the roll to extend the fight.
Gets vision, misses on the jump. C-Smile backs out. Hector, control onto 1. They find the Drow in the back. Right on top of him in the meantime. I think Q was there too. Gojira lost his mind, lost his life, but the jump in and they find nothing to say. Oh God, Hector, he's taking so much damage with the marksmanship and the amp. Chase, nothing to say, looking for it. The crush is there, a couple of punches, but K1 gets out.
Whisper's coming in.
He's right on top. Z-Smile finding Bastion, trying to kill. Will it be enough? The Hex is there, a couple more punches. Ame's dead. Whisper barely survives through. K1 jumps in, finds Undying, trying to bring him down. Ame is still beaten though. He's got a ton of damage. K1 has to be careful. A couple more marksmanship procs is all he needs, but he gets away again. No, Bingo! Nothing to say. He salvages it. They jump in and get the kills. Beastcoast, they get a lot of objectives, but LGD, they're not out yet.
The mega creeps, though.
That is rough. That is real rough. They're running down the lane immediately.
Hector has the buyback play. Yeah, as he escapes the fight, he walks to mid. There's only 1 Ranger Axe left, but LGD can't stop him from taking the Rex. There's a whole fight going on, so secures the Mega Creeps, goes back into the fight. The backtrack, he's level 25, has 20% chance, but not enough.
And down bottom, there's a DD, but they're not going to check for it. It's going to instead head up towards the high ground now. LGD with a creep wave and a dream. They buy a Deso. They want to go for everything here. Can they do it? This would be a miraculous comeback if they could make it happen.
It's just all the 1 stun, right? And that Aeon Disc also still prepped here from Faith Beyond. He brings it back out into his inventory here. Mike getting that chance for the control here. He doesn't care about his damage.
There's only 1 Chrono for the next 50 seconds, so we'll see if Hector, if he gets forced to use this refresher, it's pretty scary for him. It will be 3 minutes with no Chronos.
Yeah, Whisper's coming back.
All minus armor.
We saw the plan last time. Oh,
jumps in. Hex, control. Yeah. Faith Beyond survives. Aeon Disc keeping him alive. They're TPing in right now to this catapult. Creeps are in LGD's base. This is about as all in as you can get at this point, but they're not willing to take that risk yet.
Oh, and Hector, he's got a little surprise.
They got to call it. Oh, they're backing out.
Oh, he sold it. He bought a blink, got rid of it.
He wants to save the... Well, I guess he doesn't have buyback anymore, so kind of all in. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he just buys an Aeon Disc. At this point, all he needs to do is press the Chronos and exist in the fight.
Yeah.
Beastcoast will win.
It's dangerous. Again, without buybacks, and you know, we look at this lead, 15,000 gold, mega creeps into the favor, but you're still dealing with a Drow Ranger. Like, if you lose with no buybacks in this game, Beastcoast will still lose.
And you saw what the plan was, like, way back on that fight, if you guys remember, in the Radiant base. Gojira being by the fountain, like, how does that even happen? That's literally just, I'm just trying to stop Drow, right? Like, I'm getting on top of the Drow, that's my job. We didn't pick the Earth Spirit, the Tusk, the Clockwork, so I guess that's just me, right? So
I think what he was trying to do was buy a Ghost Scepter from the enemy fountain, but he actually had, I think, 6 items in his inventory and 3 in his backpack, so he couldn't get an item slot to get the
fruit
Ghost
stand, dude.
Yeah.
Those mangoes. It's too much, too much.
There's also a cheese just hanging out in the pit. Gojira just notices it.
Nice, nice.
Like, guys, this is pretty good. A couple of laughs. He didn't have a space for the cheese either. Had to drop some dust.
It's a TI classic, you know?
It really is.
The Ags is the important one.
Yeah, that's true.
Chasing, looking
Yeah,
for the courier.
Now completed.
That's
also,
big.
something interesting, Hector went for the Eagle Song of his Swift Blink instead of the Blink Dagger itself. So 25 agility is very important for him. He could go
Not
Butterfly.
versus Drow, it's not, but you know.
He could go a Butterfly, but I think it's just me a Swift Blink. I'm just surprised that he would pick it over the Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
Ame actually completed the Aeon Disc as well, so needs to be careful about taking any extra damage casually, just in case that one gets procced on something else and doesn't have it for the chrono.
What happens when carry players see that item? You know, they don't really understand how it works. Someone has to explain it to them.
My God. Unbelievable.
It's only Faith Beyond right now with buyback for LGD, so this is the scary part. You have one hero with buyback, but he's not the best at pushing out lanes, so you feel like, there's pressure on the Pango, pressure on the Drow to kind of be the ones to push these lanes out, but they get jumped, they're out of the game. So they're kind of forcing Faith Beyond to always have to push every lane out, and he's a Slardar. He doesn't want to do that. So instead, they're going to try to smoke up and get a kill while Gojira is pushing out the mid lane.
Yeah, and he's just so quick on that too, right? Like, they know what the situation is.
All the lanes gone for a minute. LGD, they would be looking for a kill. They're gonna get some D wards open up their jungle to let Ame get some more farm. But eventually we'll be pulled back in.
Now, keep in mind though, like you said, there's no buyback on Hector, right? Oh, okay, big jump.
Jump, finds one. That's a quick kill onto Y, and with no buyback, this fight just got a little bit harder. Faith Beyond looking, they wanted to defend that ward, but it's a bit too dangerous. Faith Beyond under the moonlight shadow, the birds with Whisper right on top, walks in vision, gets him there. Hex, Chrono, connects, Faith Beyond, also nothing to say, they got him. Second round Chrono ready to go, waiting for their moment though. Do they have the mana? Hector jumps in, gets the Chrono onto Ame, and the chase comes. C-Smile, Aeon Disc, it keeps him alive for a moment, but only a moment. Although he gets the BKB off, now a little bit of a runaway. The Gash, okay, a couple more punches. Cheese, C-Smile backs away, survives, jumps back in, tries to bring down one, nothing to say, still living through it. He's silenced forever, but they don't have the damage for the kill. That's a couple Chronos, a lot of ultis used, and LGD, they still survive.
Even holding the buyback there on the Undying. Okay, couple here, obviously losing up for Faith Beyond, that is a bit rough. But he is, what, 3,000 gold he can spend without care now at this point?
Yeah, Cheese used on the Storm. That's why he survived that fight. But Refresher on the Storm, Refresher on the Void. Visage has to resummon birds. It's just it's so scary. You almost see Faith Beyond just goes down instantly here, but a nice quick Force Staff kind of pushes him back.
Really has been the story of this game, it feels like, is just the positioning. Just like pulling everything apart, trying to drag you through these fights, and even for a Storm Spirit with the Cheese, like he needs so much mana to get around.
Faith Beyond has to be careful here. He doesn't have buyback. They will find Gojira. They'll find Stinger. Roly-poly, no Chrono. Gotta be careful. Jump in, find one. Thinking about running onto Ame, but this fight's getting a little bit weird. Silence connects onto C-Smile. Whisper there. Finds Xingqiu. Does get the leap out. Again, these moments as Roche is about to respawn.
It had 4 seconds.
And usually they're in the position. He zips right through the
good blink.
Right now.
Good blink away. C-Smile just threatening, but look at him.
They just missed it.
The tier 4s are going down. They need to get back home. Nobody's home at the Ancient. The fight is going on. LGD might just lose this game while the fight is happening. Nobody is home. Oh, the creeps, they're pretty strong. Beastcoast gets some help from Love as those catapults are going to bring him down one by one. Faith Beyond trying to stop it.
Disarm.
Do they even get any damage onto the Ancient? Defense of the Ancients. Whisper moves on in with the birds ready to take it down. A couple more punches is all they need.
play all the Chronos. The way they kind of maneuver these fights is really impressive from the side of Beastcoast.
I was very scared for them. They would just chrono. Drow would be, alive. It looked like they could Roche, take a tower, but Beastcoast just keep holding on. As we said, the lane push, Enchantress and Whisper, great job at pushing out the lanes, kind of delaying the game, getting all their timings. And Chris Luck, I think that was a phenomenal performance right there on the Storm Spirit.
Getting a little bit of love from the crowd there, Chris Luck, and of course the doggies.
A stalwart, these allies here, just
no
serious
emotions.
game face there.
No emotions at all on the dogs.
No.
Very impressive.
Killer. Well, what a way to end this first game here. And I feel like, to me at least, this is sort of, everybody came in saying, all right, Beast Coast could do this, but I don't think anybody expected them to come in this style. Going into game 2, any changes that you feel like you would want to see? Anything that really scared you with the drafts in particular?
I think the Undying has somewhat been found out a lot in this tournament. It was very, very popular even leading into the tournament. But the Visage response, I think, is something that has been very common and usually banned out. But they give up the Visage, so maybe you just question whether you want the Undying or whether you want to ban the Visage if you really value the Undying. And the later picks are, it's hard to say, right? Every game it'll change, but I think particularly the Undying and the Visage.
I feel like they also maybe struggled a little bit in terms of enabling all their cores in a way on the side of LGD in this game, right? It felt like everything just had to be for all men, which sometimes it can work, but when you get to this point in the game, obviously that was a very big struggle for them.
Versus Chrono too, right? You just Chrono him off cooldown.
Well, an amazing series to start our day. 4 teams going to be eliminated. We'll see if we find one of them in the next game or if we're going to be able to push it to game number 3. For now, we're going to head back to the panel.
Thank you so much indeed. 1 game up for Beastcoast here against PSG LGD, and it is in a fantastic fashion that they are able to do so. I feel like we just witnessed Beastcoast. I mean, there was not a beat dropped, I felt, from not being there in person, Lacoste. I feel we have to start by mentioning that.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, C-Smile, he's there, just enjoying himself alone. They're on stage while the rest of the team is playing from the hotel, but you could not feel it. That's something that Jenkins did mention is because this team has been together for so long, they have so much experience. It's like a family. This is not like a team, and it seems like it doesn't make the difference for them because they just beat PSG LGD here on the main stage, and the way I want to say anything was wrong with the draft from PSG LGD. Something that Gunnar did mention is that this Undying, same goes for Shadowfin. I think we can make a similar reference that he got figured out, and this is one of the best moments that I've seen as a Faceless Wit, where he goes in, scouts things out, and then comes back in with a sharp place. It's a really nice chrono.
But that happens so often, right? Where it felt like they could have won the fight on the side of PSG LGD if they just managed to burst that Void down, but a couple of times they just fell so short to killing him, and the tides of the entire fight would turn. And honestly, that really was just the story of the game. Which team was able to kite the other team better? Which team was able to play the longer fights better? And of course, when you were baiting out these cooldowns, these force offs, you could go back in, and Beastcoast just had the tools to go on LGD's heroes and punish them. But I really do have to say, they came in with such confidence today. Even when LGD went for that first Roche, Hector with the chrono instantly. He didn't care that they got the Aegis. He didn't care that they were fighting versus Undying on a choke point. He went in, he chronoed them. They got the Mortimer's Kisses. Maybe didn't turn into a really good kill or fight. They got like maybe 1 target, but the fact that they're able to take these plays and make these moves without needing anything just says so much about their mental state right now. So that was so impressive.
I actually just realized something with what Lacoste was saying that totally eluded me up until this point. These are the 2 rosters with the most games played together that are still around. Like, we're talking like old Na'Vi Alliance. Like, these are the 2 in the world with the most games as a 5-man roster playing against each other. Because he was saying with Beastcoast, it's like, oh yeah, they're like a family. They've played so much together. That's true with LGD too. Actually, LGD is the only team that has more games played together than Beastcoast. But Beastcoast has the most TIs played together as a full 5-man roster. That's pretty insane.
That is pretty insane.
I mean, it's cool that you bring that up because I'm pretty sure a lot of people remember Beastcoast's main stage performance last year when they played versus Alliance, and it felt like a massive choke, to be honest. The players were incredibly anxious. There were some bad plays being made, and a lot of people assumed that maybe the team would disband after that and go their separate ways, but they didn't care. They just stuck together. They said, we're happy with the results, we think we're good, and we're gonna keep going. So that's really cool of them. But I just quickly want to talk about Whisper a little bit. So he has played 4 Visage games in his entire competitive career, including this one. And they're just feeling so good about themselves to the point where they can take away PSG LGD's Visage, first pick it for a player who has only played it 3 times competitively and look like that and win like that. So Beastcoast have such a good mentality coming into the series.
Confidence and trust.
I remember at the major, there was a similar thing being said with Whisper, where he played Kunkka for the first time in like forever, just because it felt good against that particular team. So this is a player who historically is totally fine. It's like, yeah, I'll be thrown under the bus, guys. I'm good. Yeah, I can do that for the team, for the fam.
For the team, a lot of it is based on intuition. You got to have some good intuition when you're playing Dota 2, because sometimes you don't have time to think. Everything goes split second. And speaking of intuition, I got good vibes, good intuition with the following 2 people.
Hello, hello, hello. It is us here in the arena, Slacks and Casey. Audience, what did we think about that game 1? Woo! Such a hype audience today and such hype players as well.
You know, despite you and I accidentally dressing like Christmas today, I wanted to give you a gift.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you're really good at interviewing players, and you haven't had a chance to do that at this TI. Would you like to be the ones to interview the players?
Oh my gosh, I guess we could do something after game 1. That would be a really fun opportunity.
Why
Okay.
don't you interview Beastcoast?
All right, I'll interview Beastcoast. I'm a little nervous. Okay. Thank you so much for taking time. What were your thoughts about that game 1? Are you ready for game 2?
Oye, Jacobo, ¿qué haces hablándome aquí? Estoy a punto de jugar una partida, me estás tratando de esta manera. ¿Te crees que puedes llegar el peor?
Okay, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please forgive me. I just want to wish you good luck.
Enséñame tu tabuf, déjame jugar, por Dios.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, well, I think Beastcoast is ready to go. I apologize. We'll leave the interviews for Casey. Okay, well, back to you. I'm so sorry. Back to you.
Well, it was a good attempt. It was a good attempt. They might look like cute puppies, but they were like ferocious beasts. And they played like that as well. This was a fantastic opening games, and I know that there were a lot of people worried, like, oh my gosh, they're ill. They're gonna, they performed so well against EG, knocking them out in the main stage, and then now they're sick, and it might have to end their run. But they look good. They came out swinging, and I think though that this first game, Jenkins, will have a big impact on the type of game we're gonna see coming out from the most versatile team here, PSG LGD. Because when you say, oh, we're just gonna fight a lot, which Beastcoast kind of wanted to do, PSG LGD can do that too.
Yeah, they can, and they're also a team that, of course, we saw from TrueSight, fairly capable of coming back from a fairly devastating first game or first couple of games. So this is nothing abnormal for them. I'm totally confident we're going to see a very competitive game 2. Hopefully. We'll get a game 3 out of this, but yeah, like we were talking about, both teams are like this. So even if the second game goes the way of LGD, I'll say the exact same thing for Beastcoast on the flip side.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. Both teams have been playing great, and we know that this is not PSG LGD. We know that they can also force out that third game for Beastcoast. And at this point, Lacoste, who knows where the series is going to go, because both of these teams, we know how they play at their best.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did mention a couple of times that PSG LGD, they do have the most versatile hero pool. You know which team is the second best? It's Beastcoast. So it's very difficult to prepare for both of these teams because they play variety of the heroes. Like, I'd say for years, even for me, when I saw Beastcoast draft, the first thing that comes to my mind is weird. Like, oh, it's weird. It's weird because you don't understand it. And it takes you time to understand how capable this team is in terms of, like, spreading their wings across every single hero. Like, they have their own meta. Like, one of the reasons why South America is so popular, because they don't care what others are playing. They form their own meta. They come with their own ideas, and a lot of their ideas are gonna get copied.
Yeah, I mean, I like that point a lot, because I remember watching Beastcoast maybe 1.5 years ago, and they were playing things like mid-Broodmother when every other team was playing her offlane and refused to put her in the mid lane. They were playing Spirit when the hero wasn't popular. Obviously, Chris Luck was one of the mid-Snaps, the mid-Marses that we see time and time again. So I just really do enjoy regions that have so much faith in their abilities that they are not swayed by other regions. But I do think LGD have that same quality themselves. That game, honestly, could have gone either way at any point. It was so back and forth. It was so competitive. So I have high hopes that LGD are going to mentally recuperate and go into the next game and do well.
Yeah. So let's focus a little bit on what we like to see change. We already heard Gunner's thoughts on it, that it's just about the opening, and the rest, obviously, the rest of the draft will change a lot depending on that opening. And he just mentioned two heroes. The first pick of LGD was Undying. He didn't like it. And the first pick of Beastcoast was Visage, which he really, really, really liked, which probably shouldn't be given away again.
I'm down for some Snapfire. Like, this hero did ruin Undying. They did have Raid Pact as well on Mirana, and he did go for level 15 talent, extra 2 Little Shredder attack, so you can easily kill the Tombstone, and that was his pretty much main goal. And I like the itemization, starting with maxing out that Little Shredder, also going for the Solar Crest to amplify the damage of his own team, because they did had a lot of minus armor, and then proceeding to get the Force Staff. He had Ogre Seal Totem and the Blink Dagger, so he could close the gap so quickly and push someone out of the trouble.
I think LGD might just end up going for their Chen in the next game. I think that they weren't prepared for Beastcoast to play this Visage because, like I said, it's not really a strategy they've run or a hero they've really played throughout their group stage. So that definitely caught them off guard because I almost 99% believe that they were trying to pair that Undying with the Visage themselves. So next time around, we're going to see entirely different openers.
You live and learn. It's learning in rapid fashion. Only 10 minutes in between games means adaptation has to come swiftly. There is, of course, one big up for PSG LGD that during the game it has already been Zawait that's already decided what he wants to change. He's doing all the drafting, Jenkins. That will be a big weight off the shoulders from PSG LGD, surely.
So he wasn't drafting game 1.
He was.
Oh.
But it's a big up that he can look at the game and already think about what he wants to change.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I was like, wait, who's drafting for LGD? No, for sure. Like, the whole time he's watching from the perspective of, he's not microing. He's not playing the individual hero, and he can just look at, we really had to take the mid tower early with this lineup, and we couldn't do it because they had these picks that come out later. Like, it's much easier when you're out of the player perspective to isolate strategically what went wrong, because you're playing Mirana, you're trying to hit these arrows, you're focusing on all this micro stuff. So yeah, I'm sure he's got quite a few reasons for why he thinks that game was harder than it should have been.
But I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, Shiver, because I think that a lot of people had a misconception regarding how Zhao 8 tends to coach PSG LGD, and when last year's True Sight was released, I feel like a lot of those misconceptions were cleared up because people assumed that he was this very strict, doesn't take input from his team or pushes his ideas on others, but it was actually quite the opposite. He was taking input. Some of the picks that people were blaming him for actually came from his team, and he just trusted them, listened to them, and was able to acknowledge his own mistakes.
He took blame as well, yeah.
So
which is important.
His style of coaching, I think, is probably what PSG LGD need right now to bounce back after a loss like that.
And we saw Beastcoast players on the phone calling their parents, "Mom, I'm about to, win against LGD 2-0. I gotta go. Bye."
What'd you say? I should pick Dad? I'll pick the Pudge. All right.
I don't think we're gonna see Pudge pick. I know you guys really want one.
Game 2 is Pudge and Sniper territory. I will say that Hector has played it in this tournament. LGD, of course, they invented the Pudge Sniper, of course, copying Arkosh Gaming from North American Division 3.
Yeah.
And Sniper is such a good hero. I mean, we were talking about it in the green room. Yesterday, we saw exactly what this hero could do in the hands of Hero yesterday in Entity Series versus Liquid. It looked so good. We're wondering why other teams aren't picking this hero as their Hail Mary. I mean, honestly, it feels like he plays the role of Drow and SF better than they do themselves.
It felt very funny seeing the grenade used to get closer to a person.
Yeah, that was a first. that was a TI. I don't even need to look at the stats. That's a TI history first.
TI history first. Very unusual.
How many times has Sniper been played in TI with that ability?
Just this TI.
Yeah, I don't think it was that last year, right?
No, it was not.
Concussive grenade?
I believe not. And even if it was, I don't believe Sniper was picked very regularly last year, regardless.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate indeed. We see the players already getting ready to get into that draft of that second game of this series. A lot of pressure for both of the teams. Of course, a game away from securing top 6 for Beastcoast. They've never gotten that far, and it would mean a lot to them, obviously, to go the entire route, especially with the circumstances they're playing in right now. They want to prove that that is not stopping their road, and so far, one game down, they're looking good. For PSG LGD, though, This is a rough position to be in because they've been on the brink of elimination before. They're no stranger to that, but normally it's only once they reach top 3 or even top 2 that they are faced with this amount of pressure, right?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about PSG LGD because they are the team that can mentally reset like almost immediately. Like they don't need any extra time. They know potentially. I feel like they already have a plan. Okay, if we lose, it's whatever. We keep on going. They're like soldiers, you know. They just have what it takes to have this W here as well.
They do.
Actually, to that point, I do feel like maybe that is the case now in this TI in particular, but in the past it felt like one of their biggest weaknesses as a team was that they were winning so often that when they did lose, they had no idea what to do after those losses, and you could see them unravel, right? It happens especially when they just have group stage dominance. We saw it in Arlington. We saw it last year in TI. It feels like the one thing that they were lacking was the ability to bounce back from really bad losses. So this could be the setting and the stage that gives them that ability, but it could also be the setting that they could just completely get squashed in. Who knows?
One thing to notice is teams that are coming out from Group A and from Group B, because I think a lot of people did assume that Group A had stronger teams. Like you had this PSG LGD, you had EG, even RNG, Boom Esports, OG. But they kind of formed their own meta in Group A, and I think this is one of the reasons why the other teams from Group B are doing much better, because they played against what seems to be the better teams at this international. So that could have some impact.
I got a theory on that. And this actually goes back to what Effie was saying about LGD. So Group A has 3 ties on average. Group B had 4.2 ties on average. And so I think there's been a huge storyline this TI of teams going through the fire and the flames, sometimes flaming coming from Reddit, of course, and then coming out stronger. And to what Effie was saying, LGD, they are used to being the Goliaths. They're used to being the guys that are supposed to win. And I honestly think it'll do wonders for their mental state to just be the guys people are like, oh, what's going on with them? They could lose, to feel that for once. Like Puppy was saying in the interview, if you win 10 games in a row, if you lose 10 games in a row, you got a problem. If you win 10 games in a row in scrims, you got a problem. You want to go through the fire and flames so you can learn.
And actually, if PSG LGD are able to bounce back after that game 1 and take this series, I would credit that to their loss versus Team Spirit, because when they lost versus Spirit in Arlington, that was probably one of the most noticeable kind of unravelings or tilts that we as a spectator were able to see, because they went from so completely convincing in their victories in game 1 to just slowly with every game degrading a little bit until in that last game, in that game 4 where Spirit beat them, they didn't feel like themselves at all. So maybe from that series they took these lessons and they applied these lessons, and we might be able to see it here today. I hope we do. I hope we get a 3-game series.
I hope so too. And now that we have a little bit more time, I want to talk about the man on our screen right now and compare him to the man on our screen right now as well. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the mid laners because nothing to say, we saw him on the Pango previous game and we saw C-Smile, Chryslack on the Storm Spirit. 2 very different heroes. We saw Chryslack go in hard time and time again. It was a little bit harder to do for Nothing to Say, but I want to talk about the different styles of mid lane they play, Jenkins. How do you analyze their style of play, would you say?
It depends on the game. I feel like Nothing to Say is more of a farming style mid laner, whereas Chryslack he just gets in your face. He's very active.
Very active indeed. We're gonna find out what they're gonna play up against each other because it's drafting time. Game 2.
PSG LGD versus Beastcoast. Game 2.
Turn to ban.
Game 2, take a deep breath, everyone. This is a big one. Elimination on the line for a lot of people. The tournament favorites in PSG LGD. Now, of course, after the tournament has begun, we have slightly adjusted our perception of who is the top dog, and it still is very strange to see potentially PSG LGD being left behind on top 8 this TI. Beastcoast, however, they are looking hot, they are looking ready, and they are looking quite unstoppable, especially with the fighting style they had in that first game. We got a little bit of an adaptation, of course, in the draft as expected. First pick going away to Beastcoast means Beastcoast removes the Visage. We got Undying removed as well, and that meant that Tiny is left in the pool as well as Marcy. Interesting to note, in both of those first pick together with the hero we talked about during the first game, a very popular one for both teams, this time for PSG LGD. Leshrac.
Leshrac is an insane hero right now, just abusing the power of the Bloodstone for himself. It's his own item, and yeah, we need to see if there's going to be an immediate response here from the Beastcoast, because they know that this Leshrac, let me just double check, because I don't remember.
83% win rate.
Okay, and the Fabian was not playing it, and this is a good response. This is, you know, one of the classic ones where Nyx Assassin is very easy setup to counter Leshrac, burn his mana, make his life really miserable pre-BKB.
But we saw in Secrets series yesterday that they did pick Leshrac into Nyx Assassin confidently, and it worked out in such a spectacular way.
It was offlane Leshrac, and they also needed a counter to Slark, so it's a bit different. But yeah, it still takes a lot of confidence. Venomancer, Ben, that's an interesting one.
Very early on as well.
But about the Leshrac versus Nyx thing, so Nyx is definitely a nuisance and a way to catch him, but Leshrac has become the kind of hero where you pick him to try to snowball a lane advantage or just push a few towers, and if he can do that for your team, then he's probably ticked off like 3 of the boxes that you want him to do already.
Yeah, he's the hero.
Yeah, and then in terms of counter picks specific to this hero right now, you can just itemize it for it, which is the beauty of the hero, because I feel what he offers a team right now in terms of team fighting, in terms of DPS output, in terms of objective taking, far outweigh the ability of getting counterpicked. And I think that picking him in the first phase is probably what most teams from this point onwards in TI are going to look to do.
I agree, and going back to Lacosse's point as well, it's all in the Bloodstone. Like, this item is so powerful, not only from mid, but it's a really nice build-up for an offlaner as well. The small items that build into it all feel really good to get individually and make you tanky up. So you can, it's not like you have to like hard farm your Bloodstone, ignore your team. You can go fight and still get your Bloodstone at a good timing.
Yeah, and the timing for it is so early too. Like, the average timing is around minute 15, and we see all these really impactful items come out around minute 15. The average Wraith Pack timing, I believe, on heroes like Broodmother are minute 15. For this Bloodstone is minute 15.
And speaking of timings, I like this ban on Io. You know, hero that we haven't seen played much. I think only one game. Yeah, one game only. And this is the hero that can mess up with the timings, because Io Leshrac has been super popular, especially as Dire, because it gives you infinite mana. It does allow you to have a partner to run at the lanes and just disrupt. So you can potentially like get more farm, get more levels, and also like take a fight 2 minutes before when enemy carry or a mid laner does not have a BKB, which can make a lot of difference.
Yeah, for sure. And they have run it before on LGD during the group stages. So Beastcoast were definitely prepared for that and just eliminated it.
Disruptor is another hero we've seen become more and more valuable as the group stage and main stage has progressed. Now,
why is that?
I think the little bit of damage that comes on Glimpse is actually fairly impactful. It makes it like already
good to play.
Yeah, already you wanted to max that ability, but it still kind of felt bad because you wanted the Q, so you're not like useless. It felt like it was a non-damage dealing support when it comes to the fight. But also, the ult is insane now. It's huge, and the extra second, like, you really feel it. We've seen people get tossed out of the Disruptor kinetic field and then still die, even though with the mistake, they still die because it's just so huge that the person can't run out of it in time before it despawns.
But not only that, the issue with Disruptor was he did get a couple of nerfs in the last year. I played this hero a lot, so it's very sad, because there goes my Mamari, you know? But you used to just have to get only 2 points in his Q in order to be able to do damage and have impact in the lane. But the Q got nerfed significantly, and now if you actually want to play in that same style, you have to put 3 points in it. But if you're playing Disruptor, you want to max your glimpse. You don't want to put 3 points in a spell that is barely going to give your team that much impact early on. And it's actually really cool because you can get so many of these kills on lane simply by maxing glimpse. If the offlaner runs away from the creep wave, you just bring him back, you do an extra, 150 damage, and then your carry can kill him. And that plus 150 damage in the early game, in the laning stage, makes a huge difference.
It is. And looking at this Crystal Maiden focusing, so that means that Tiny is going to be... I mean, Tiny can be still played as an offlane for Beastcoast because they do love to flex a lot of the heroes. But looking at the carry, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some old school Jug plus CM action, or maybe even a Bloodseeker. I wouldn't mind seeing Bloodseeker because like just having a strong lane could mess up with PSG LGD's timings. Like, strong lanes, Nyx Assassin definitely not a strong laner, but if paired up with some other offlaner, yeah, okay, it's going to be Mars for now.
Mars for now, indeed, and an instant lifestealer. That was a telegraphed lifestealer with the Venom and the Bat ban. I would imagine that that is not a surprise coming for Beastcoast.
I like this lifestealer a lot, actually. It's good against every single one of Beastcoast's heroes so far, and it pairs up well with Disruptor in the safe lane. Usually you can go Corrosion on lifestealer. You don't want to unless you know you can get these kills, but you can just pick up something like that, and then with the glimpse that we were talking about, can set up for a lot of kills on either the Nyx or the Mars early on. But also lifestealer is a carry who does lack a little bit of damage up until he gets his Armlet and his Deso or whatever build that they tend to go for. But you're also playing with a Marcy, right? You get the free damage from Sidekick, which allows you to hit the lifestealer timings 2 or 3 minutes earlier, which is incredibly valuable, as Lacoste mentioned how important it is to disrupt or be able to play on these timings.
And you need to have a hero that Lifestealer is afraid of, something that goes through magic immunity, because like these heroes, he's really not threatened. There is a save from RC, there is a glimpse, like there's potentially a lot of ways to protect the Lifestealer, not necessarily a real save, but these spells do a lot for Lifestealer. So I'm still thinking about the Juggernaut. Maybe, I know that K1's not a big fan of Ursa, but it could work.
Slark's an Ursa alternative that does kind of a similar thing. It's less good against the Disruptor, but
yes, Slark into Disruptor Lashrak might be a bit difficult.
Bloodseeker still feels pretty good.
Yes,
BKB,
for sure.
BKB piercing for the Lifestealer as well. It's just, it does feel like a lot of melees so far.
Guys, it would be so cool if PSG LGD picked Spirit Breaker here, because we've seen the Spirit Breaker and Lifestealer combo pop off so much, but I know that Xiao8 is a huge fan of the hero.
He is.
He's not playing mid though. It's nothing to say.
It doesn't matter. It's his personal favorite hero, so I'm sure he's maybe potentially discussed it, because we've seen it be impactful in Liquid Series, we've seen it be impactful with Tundra, and we've seen how good these two heroes are in unison together right now. And also, the charge plus the glimpse gives you a lot of vision, so let's do it. Bring out the cow. Come on. Where would you put him, though?
Faith Beyond, I think, would probably have to play it. He's not played it yet, but also he's played like basically every hero, every offlaner in Dota, so...
Ursa is going to be the last ban coming out for PSG LGD. As mentioned, that would have been a good one against Lifestealer. So we'll see which one Beastcoast goes for, if that will indeed be the Slark. Anybody having some potential, very small chance to smell mid-Slark? That was a long time ago, though, so I doubt that's going to happen. But
then we'd have to see like a carry Tiny. I think, is Drow banned? I feel
Drow is not banned.
I feel like Drow can still be good for them. Kite the Lifestealer, silence the Lifestealer. Lesh also is a hero that like runs into you. Drow can just kite Lesh and stay out of the range of the ult.
I think I still feeling Juggernaut because it's a safe pick. I know that K1 doesn't like Morphling a lot. That could have been an option. Not so good against the Disruptor, but having a free BKB when you turn into Lifestealer. I think the other one is Terrorblade. The carry-to-carry matchup is good. Good against the Lashrak as well. Oh, we forgot about this hero. I actually forgot this hero was not banned.
The thing about the Void in this game is it's not as terrifying as the last one because it doesn't have the Snapfire to play with.
Yes,
we saw
it does
how
have Tiny
impactful.
though.
Yeah, but Tiny needs a little bit of time to get that tree volley, right? But we saw how impactful Hector was able to be early on, especially when LGD took that first rush, because he had the damage to follow up on his Chrono early. This time around, it's going to take a little bit more time to bust out that really big damage for the Chrono. So
he's got to farm.
So it's going to be a more farm-intensive kind of game from Beastcoast, which kind of allows LGD to snowball off their Lifestealer timing if they do get the last pick here. And if you notice, they ban out the Ursa and the 12 Warlord, so they're probably just protecting whatever melee offlaner comes out on them.
Also, Faceless Void into Disruptor can be a difficult matchup sometimes. You know, pre-BKB, you time walk. If they have vision, glimpse back, and then you're going to be food for heroes like Leshrac.
And if you are charged at the same time, there will be vision continued.
Is Slardar banned? It's not banned, right?
Slardar is
Isn't
not
it just
banned.
Slardar again? You get the Slardar Lifestealer combo, hero to run in, stun people for Lesh.
The minus armor coming out.
Yeah, minus armor, yeah. Marcy Slardar sounds pretty good against, it beats Void in lane, or, you know, does well against Void in lane. It's just, it didn't feel that great in the previous game, so maybe they're feeling against it for that reason.
You know what? I'm down for some Venge off lane.
Oh, okay.
New hero joins the fray.
All right.
Okay, so I think that the logic behind this axe is that they want the BKB piercing disable to just be able to play all the time, right? They don't want to have to worry about any kind of timing, especially coming out of the void. And if you have this axe Berserker's Call to play against, it should be relatively simple. Yeah, the hero isn't what it used to be, but I think for something like that, it can accomplish a lot. Also, guys, don't forget that this team lost to Collapse's axe in Arlington when that hero wasn't in meta 2. And it was also a game that was for a lot of sticks, right? It was the finals. So maybe they just took a little bit of a lesson from Spirit there and are gonna carry it on to this thing.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
Definitely. In the first game, I didn't lean any way, but I'm going to give slight advantage to PSG LGD this time around, because this lineup doesn't have any cooldowns. Like, they are going to be able to punish the Chronosphere, especially if it's not placed well, potentially threaten the Roshan. I like what they got. And in the Fast Bomb, followed up by Leshrac, by a Disruptor, it's a very strong lineup. It's also very early game-oriented lineup, with Leshrac being the mid laner.
I agree, and I think Beastcoast's damage is quite limited for the early game. Funnily enough, most of the damage is going to be coming out of their Crystal Maiden alongside the Tiny up until they can get a couple of items up. So I think that PSG LGD are tanky, they're faster, and they can play earlier.
Are they going to have a third game here?
I hope so. I would give a slight edge to LGD as well, but I think Beast Coast also does have some potential to win the lanes and snowball from that, where they won't lack damage. But LGD slight edge.
LGD slight edge. All right, we're going to find out soon if we can maybe get a couple of words in from Zhao before the game begins. But from my panel, from what we were here so far, we might be able to hear him later on as well, because my panel believes in the draft of PSG LGD more well-rounded this time around compared to previous game. More chances to fight early on in the game. Everybody loves some action-packed Dota 2, especially Slack, who's now standing back.
Absolutely, I do love some action-packed Dota 2, Shiver.
Hippo again? No way, dog.
Gentlemen, an incredible first game. They had the faces for
Not sure if that's true. Killed it?
Do you think you have enough differences in this draft to make sure it doesn't happen again? Of course, maybe we'll see a Marcy whip. Do you think you have somebody out of the differences in this draft to make sure it doesn't happen again? Of course, maybe we'll see a Marcy whip somebody out of the Chrono potentially.
I have a feeling he's going to be trolling now. Easy lunch money. Wow, this translation is taking so long, dude. What was this question? Missing the fucking game. Okay, nobody died.
This game we feel that the Faceless Void doesn't have any additional.
Oh boy, he said something based.
Additional firepower from the team. The Faceless Void doesn't have any additional. So this game we felt that the Faceless Void pick wasn't that good from their team.
Okay, fantastic. And real quick, why Axe? We haven't seen much of this hero.
最后一个问题就是为什么选斧王呢？这个英雄我们目前基本上没见到过。
因为斧王是 Face 边的绝活，然后他夺冠英雄。
X is Faith Bian's his best hero, so we're counting on him to win.
All right, fantastic. Well, we are counting on them to win as well for potentially a Game 3. All excited here in the arena. Let's get ready and send it over to our casters.
Thank you so much, Slaxon. Already a bit of a battle occurring here in the jungle. They're saying that Faith Beyond's best hero is Axe, and well, he's already been able to bully a couple of these heroes out of the pool. Again, joined by Trent and Gunnar. You guys, we saw them bully back. Doesn't look like there's going to be any first bloods as we are already into the laning stage. they talked about not having that extra firepower with the Chronosphere. Is there anything else that you're seeing in the draft that you like?
Well, I mean, one thing we were talking about during the draft was like who it was going to be at the end, right? Who are you saving this for? And it comes down to Faith Beyond, right? What's the storyline been for LGD? What have people been talking about? He's leaving, right? So the supposed retirement after this. So it comes down to him, down here, potential last chance. The Axe. We were looking for a crazy hero. I wasn't expecting this one.
No. He's making his own story here, right? Axe, I think Axe is a silent hero throughout the year and can make a lot of noise at TI. It's one of the team fight heroes with catch, stun.
Yeah. The whole game too, right? You don't have to worry about those BKBs that of course have become so prevalent at all stages of the game with our various refreshers and Ex Machinas.
Even the refresher Axe.
Yeah, constant.
Totally. Well, you can see that he's off to a decent start down there bottom. It's going to be interesting to watch how that one plays out. And of course, as you said, the hero that definitely has made its name on the big stage. One of the most iconic games for it was against LGD way back at TI8 with Seb playing that one. But now Faith Beyond's going to have to make it work here as Beastcoast already up one game over, again, the defending runners-up. Gojira are going to be zoned back a bit.
I do agree with the Faces Void problems too, though, because I think that was very important for how they were able to really enable Hector. I mean, he went Midas, right? And he still had to pick up some kills and be involved a little bit because of the Snapfire. And Crystal Maiden's short. It's a lot of damage like during the chrono, but it's not the same. You know, obviously it's so much easier to do with Snapfire. We all know how slow Crystal Maiden is. It can be very hard to get anywhere near chrono.
Yeah, and, the tiny builds recently have involved even just going Blink into the Axe very fast. As your first 2 items. So at some point in the game, they will have damage with the tree volley. But last game, it was a level 6 support. That's all they needed. They would always get double kills every single chrono, but now you're asking to wait for 7,000 gold on your mid-tiny just to kill with chrono.
That's going to be a tough one. We'll see if that actually happens. But the other hero that has not seen a ton of success here at TI, as we do see Chris Luck get hit a couple of times. There's C-Smile throws nothing to say away, has been this Mars, like a 30% win rate or something like that across the whole rest of the tournament. But for Whisper, he played one game, he won one game. He is incredibly comfortable on this hero.
Just hit your spear, you know? Just, it's fine, you know? How hard can it be?
They nerfed the hero a lot. They lost 15 damage with W versus heroes at all levels. So its laning stage was very abusive.
Okay, pro player. 15 damage. That sounds like an excuse.
There's a crit as well.
Okay, cool.
Fair enough. It used to be very stable in the lanes, and now it's able to lose lane a lot more, and also just BKBs just keep getting stronger and stronger, so anytime you don't have spells that deal with BKB, you're stunned faster than BKB.
Gojira going down and dropping. Whisper can't get there in time to save, so Ame gonna draw first blood.
And we'll see what Gojira can do this game on the Nyx Assassin. You know, speaking of numbers, of course, with heroes, Nyx Assassin's been very good this tournament, having a very solid time. And a hero that, when we talked this morning, you and I, Lyrical, thought would be extremely popular today, especially with Beastcoast playing. And I don't know, it picked very early in this one, but definitely has some good opportunities with the Carapace throughout it.
Saw there as well. Tiny did not get the bottle refill, but doesn't matter. Looks for the stun, able to find it. Quick punch for the kill. So a little bit of help mid. Sets him up in Stinger, trying to get some separation from Faith Beyond, hiding off in the trees. A Battle Hunger, and she's gone. But is she actually quick enough to get away from him? Does manage to escape Stinger. With the voice line, gets out of trouble.
This might be the second time he walks to base, but actually he has 5 tangos. He's got a lot of regen queued up. He's gonna go eat some trees, come back to the lane. Hector's been having a good game. He had a really nice game last game, obviously. I think the biggest difference as well for Beastcoast is Whisper's having a way better lane than last game, at least in the terms of CS.
Yeah, he's like doubling up his CS from the previous match right now, and also pulling the wave all the way back here. So they're gonna be getting plenty of these. Not a support this time from the side of LGD that can really do much about that.
Another toss back on mid?
Too busy mid.
Ooh, not long enough range. That nerf to the range on toss might have been enough to get the kill with the Nyx otherwise.
It seemed like a little miscommunication. Gojira was walking backwards. He thought it was on him, but it was on the creep. Probably not leaded to a kill, even if they perfectly communicated, but just the nerfs, right? Every time it gets a little stronger, but the concept of the spells and what they do provide, Tiny just consistently been a good hero.
Displacement, like the best thing in Dota.
Magnus
like
last year.
Yeah.
Things work well together. We'll get a Spike Carapace Sun into another one, chasing forward. If they can get Faith Beyond, this would be big. We'll go for the call. A couple more punches coming through, and we'll get a few more spins along the way. Stinger's not careful. He might have gone down, but they do manage to bring him. And in fact, underneath the tower, LGD make a solid move with that Marcy rotating.
You know, sometimes you die under the tier 1, sometimes you get killed under the tier 1. That's true. The enemy, right?
That's what happens when you constantly toss people back into you. Someone has to die. Someone made the wrong choice. So, again, there's just a lot of mid pressure. A lot of times teams just want to bring multiple heroes mid to just keep diving the tower, get secure their runes, and the mid lanes have a lot of impact in terms of the early game right now, so it's very important just to secure this. And now, hopefully, Nothing to Say will get this bot rune and they'll take the 50-50. Nice glimpse.
Yeah, and that one is going to be the arcane. So again, C-Smile spamming out those voice lines as LGD still looking good on the axe. 31 last hits right now, having a very nice time against K1 on the Faceless Void. It does look like he could maybe go in for a Midas again. We'll see if it happens or not, as the call was there. Gets a couple spins, forces out the jump away.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who starts these moves off in this game as well, right? Like, for the side of LGD, you're assuming it's pretty much right?
Well, they maybe can bring him down. Gets the hit, gets pushed back to lane. That's a one-way ticket.
That's what you want. But aside from that, like, we got Marcy and then perhaps eventually Fithion, depending on his blink timing. That's when he can start things moving inside of LGD. Then on Beastcoast, it's that Mars who has struggled a little bit, and the level 6 on the Nyx Assassin, as we assume that this Tiny's, again, gonna need just like a little bit more time.
Yeah, he's going for the phase boots on Tiny. Sometimes we'll see them go Bronze boots in the blink, but it looks like he's going to play more towards being able to be quick on the map, run around, get combos off on heroes, because he doesn't have the greatest kill threat on the Lifestealer either. You're not going to see any rotations top unless, you know, I think it has to be a Spirit Catch. So probably towards mid, towards bot. Killing Faith Beyond over and over is going to have a lot of impact, because again, like you said, they need the blink on Faith Beyond to have these really fast early game moves.
Seen a lot of mid lane being held by Gojira on that Nyx Assassin, which has been pretty nice, as Hector is going to get ran down a little bit here by Faith Beyond again.
Yeah, and Faith Beyond, of course, whenever you're playing this axe, one thing that you love to do is you get this really early Vanguard, and you want your supports to stack up those Ancients, because they're just super easy, it's very free to farm, and great way to get towards that blink. Oh, he got a combo, that's going to make sure he can't get the time wall.
Oh, barely brings him down. Faith Beyond comes in the clutch. That is the power of Marcy. You pair it with axe, it's dangerous.
It's very close, and on mid, a toss on Gojira.
Can't quite get him back.
Mana burn.
Yeah, now he's just out though. He's gonna run on home. It's kind of like Ace, of course. You know, kept getting EMP'd in his match, and the Underlord running all the way back. You know, nothing to say. Getting sent back as well.
LGD already off to a very hot start. Not just CS, look at that net worth lead, 3,000 at 8 minutes.
That's positioning. Under the tower, like there's two TPs in.
They're going. Chrono going to be used. Marcy under control. Why is there? Going to send back Gojira. I don't know if they have the damage for this. They might get one kill.
They have the TPs. It's okay. Everyone's
a lot
coming.
of them. Avalanche toss, a couple more punches, but Nothing to Say also shows up. C-Smile in some trouble, will get stunned, but that's just to try and get some separation. As they toss in the CM, Stinger is going to be left to the walls. C-Smile, what are you doing? Oh no, Arena down though. They're just trying to keep the fight going a little bit longer. Faith Beyond, do they have the damage for this? I'm not so sure. Arena breaks, Spear goes down. A lot of action going on as 10 heroes down bottom. LGD, they're coming out on top.
The 5-hero swarm assembles down here. They delay the fight with the Chrono. TPs come from Beastcoast, TPs come from LGD, and a tower push at 9 minutes with everybody showing up.
That's 3,000 gold. When so many heroes keep showing up, someone's losing a lot of gold. No one's farming. Whoever wins the fight just gets everything. That's why usually you'll see one hero kind of gets left behind to farm creeps top, mid, somewhere, but it's a big commitment.
The mana burn.
Find another. C-Smile, Avalanche trying to get out of there, and it looks like he will. Don't want to chase that much further. Gojira now in, and he's going to be the sacrifice. LGD just holding hands together in the jungle. They keep finding kills.
I mean, if you're getting these glimpses, you have Marcy jumping up ahead. They have so much reach and catch right now at this point. When you're hitting the level 2 glimpses, you know you're having a really good disruptor game. It feels like it's so hard to actually make moves this early on, and going to get another stack up on the Ancients. There is a ward here from Beastcoast. They know that an Axe wants to do this, but they're not in a position to contest this at all, so they're just going to have to watch with their own vision as he farms this.
They don't have the greatest heroes to provide a lot of damage with the Tiny. It's pretty much just his combo. Gojira doesn't have crazy damage until Vendetta. Stinger doesn't also have the greatest damage. A lot of them are these bursts of like tiny amounts of damage, and the LGD has 2 strength cores. They don't die to these nukes.
See this brain here? The trusty shovel gets the kobold for
the more
spin, you know.
I like it, I like it. Yeah, Blink Dagger done at 10 minutes though. I mean, Faith Beyond's having an amazing game. Again, this guy, he's talked about it, said that this is going to be his last year playing Dota, and on potentially his elimination game, they're giving him this axe. He's completely controlling it.
They were trying to come in here and hold this high ground, I think, thinking that there might be like a move coming through, right? And they're beginning to scout now. Trying to grab Y.
Avalanche wants the toss back, gets it onto one, but the call, the interrupt, will it be enough? See Smile, they get one kill onto the disruptor, immediately have to run away. Gojira, mana burn, Stinger also there, looking for the slow, but the dunk, it's queued up, it's coming, trying to separate, still living, and gets a little juke. Where'd he go? He went behind the tree, jumps in, Faith Beyond, he says no.
He let him think he was getting away with it, you know, but the Blink Dagger makes sure he'll have that cleanup as long as someone keeps the vision on him. And, well, the deja vu here. We got another Midas coming.
Why TP's top drops the ward, tries to get the glimpse back on the Mars, but unfortunate, there's a little fog. Whisper gets out.
Yeah, that whole time while that fight was occurring down bottom, there wasn't a Mercy. Unusual in these early engagements because Zinky was getting some space on the lane, so now level 6 has Phase Boots, has the Orb of Venom. Pretty strong Marcy at this point, trying to enable all of these early ganks that they want to go for.
Marcy's one of the best supports right now to get a lot of gold. The BKB timing is still crazy on this year, the amount of damage it can output. A lot of the times we'll see it have a rough one, and it just kind of ends up being more of a sidekick, but he has max rebound, he's having a pretty good game, he queues up the BKB, so we'll probably see at some point, maybe he even kills the core, just by himself in the fight.
It's definitely a chance. We've seen that hero just completely pop off. As K1.
It's only level 3, unfortunately. Level 4, he's got the range for it.
Can't quite get there. But they are still threatening this mid tower. And with this type of a lead that they're having early on, I'm not sure if Beastcoast have the answers yet. Very, very scary. And LGD, they're just going as, you know, a stack of 5 around the map, taking objective after objective.
I think this is where kind of the draft talked about the Void versus last game.
Yeah.
There's no snap for these Chronos.
And there it is, the call, the connection, and Whisper dead. All it takes is a second. LGD keep the train going. And, well, Y is there. Gonna get hit with the ulti. A little avalanche coming through, and Ame lifted up in the air. Just trying to get away from there. They have no way to catch him, though, so Ame will escape.
He's going for the riskiest infest save.
Yeah,
maybe
on a support.
Drops it. Chrono down. The Midas first on his way through, but Marcy gonna get found. Impale off the mark. ZQ! He gets away.
Wow. That feels bad.
Top tower is under attack.
He got the Midas.
He got the Midas.
He got the Midas.
I gotta respect that, you know?
I've never seen that before. Chrono into Midas. What a play.
I mean, that creep wasn't going anywhere.
That's true.
That much.
Yeah, so this is last game. You can compare this to last game where the Void, he had the same items, he chronoed, but they would get 2 kills every chrono. This game, neither of his supports do damage. Mars doesn't do damage. Tiny does some damage, but it's not enough. No one's really dying on the side of LGD besides Y.
Yeah, and Whisper, time and time again, has been this go-to person for the team when they're in these situations. And that death up top really hurting him as he's trying to get towards that Blink Dagger. Lamar's really the hero that can try and get them a turnaround, a good fight, but he's not ready yet.
See Smile, throws out the avalanche.
He's so close to Blink.
Trying to get some separation here. Is going to be glimpsed back. Y finds him. The stun, it connects onto Ame. No more mana, no rage, but no problem. Faith Beyond again cleaning up. I mean, it's pretty clear what it is that Beastcoast have to do at this point. Dodge to the best of their abilities and maybe find a pickoff, but they need to wait for later.
Beastcoast is, they're struggling to connect their cores right now. They're almost always, it's only one core to play. It's like a core 2 supports, it's a core just alone getting jumped. And they're struggling because they don't really have they don't feel like they have the damage. And always issue is that's where you split up and you're like, we need our items. And that's why they're kind of sitting in 3 different lanes constantly. And it's pretty much just going to be a question of when do they feel confident enough to group up and actually take a fight. And every time you die, it just feels like that goes a little farther and farther away of when you feel comfortable doing that.
And we have this sort of like term or a way to describe a couple heroes in Dota in terms of like they feel really good when they're ahead. And LGD, they kind of have like 4 of those heroes now, I would say. You know, like Leshrac, Axe, Marcy, Disruptor. They just want to like run around the map, take down some towers with your Leshrac. Axe just jumping and dunking on whatever target he can get. And Zinq with the freedom to just hop wherever you want with these early rebound builds. Not really having someone that benefits that much from the sidekick right away.
There are 2 big timings that are coming out right now, though. Whisper, Blink Dagger done. See Smile, Blink Dagger done. So with this quad core running around and Faceless Voids showing up top, they might be able to make make something happen.
But there's a Bloodstone. That's a tanky Leshrac, you know? That's a Life Stealer. It's an Axe. These are not the easiest targets core-wise.
The other issue is they have one round of spells. That's it. They don't do really consistent damage throughout the fight. So, like you said, if they don't kill the Leshrac, a Bloodstone pop, he'll be full health.
Up top, K1, sensing danger was coming his way, is already backing out of there. And they won't be able to find him. They might have been TPing in vision.
We might start seeing some of those like glimpse wards come out from these situations when they're trying to run away from you.
Nothing to say, just running in. They're ready to go. Frostbite, Faith Beyond, still looking for the chase. Avatar, spear dead. Okay. Got him.
Oh, and he didn't want to jump in.
Round 2 of this one, can they bring him down? Whisper is there, has a spear from up on the high ground. But the Marcy jumps in and immediately explodes one. Gonna dunk 2, pulls in K1, has to run away. The chase is coming, they got him caught. K1 done.
C-Smile as well brought back.
Oh, they keep on falling. Another one in the area. C-Smile does manage to TP out of there, but LGD, they came to play in game 2.
Oh, it started so well too, actually managing to get the Leshrac, but they had to commit everything that they had at that point. And then the Chrono, like maybe if they had just ran after that Chrono, there was a hope, because Faith no one would be able to chase down, but now Gojira trying to get away with the Vendetta.
It doesn't look like it's going to happen there. Spike Carapace running out with a bunch of heroes in tow and having them right on target. This is going to be some more armor in for Faith Beyond.
Okay, though.
Okay, they got one kill.
Delayed for
Why?
a kill.
Okay, maybe not.
Showing up.
Smile. Marcy, spear back. Got him. Whisper finding a target, but Marcy gets out. Can they bring down Faith Beyond? Hector just hitting creeps. They don't have nearly enough damage, it feels like, to bring him down. C-Smile. Avatar's dead. Beastcoast, they extend the fight and manage to make something out of nothing.
And that's all from the fancy footwork of that Nyx assassin, right? Gojira's got 6 feet. Makes it a little bit harder to track him down.
Oh, it's also, I think, the Crystal Maiden. It kind of is showing the power of how long it can... If you don't jump her, she has so many slows, she has Frostbite. She just keeps kiting out the fight. And as we said, Beastcoast is kind of purely on spells. They buy 2 blinks, they're pure mobility, they don't have any damage, they don't have any kind of sustained stand there, no BKB right clickers. So they have to play in the cooldowns of their spells. And the CM kind of enables both the Mars and the Tiny to just keep getting constant rounds of spells because LGD can't escape.
Yeah, and it turns out there is a good reason, I guess, for being super slow, unfortunately. Those low cooldowns, right? If you can keep that perfect positioning, the fight, the constant spam just feels so good on the hero. So we just, cut her at the knees over and over again.
Whichever team starts being on the back foot in these fights is going to have a hard time. If LGD has a glimpse, they have Marcy to chase, and Beastcoast just have so many stuns and slows that they're just going to keep constantly getting rounds of spells off.
50 on try, but not enough fast enough pace from the damage there.
Another Life Stealer bomb.
The blink off first.
Looks for it. Why? It's gonna run right into one. There is the Disruptor ulti down. CM, a lot of armor from the ulti, but it won't be enough. Whisper, Glimpse has already been used. They chase, Faith Beyond looking, but he gets the blink off in time. Where the damage ticks come in. So LGD claim another life. Right now, 6 stacks of that Culling Blade armor for Faith Beyond, and they're just keeping that pressure moving.
The entire time, nothing to say, he's just farming. Other side of the map. He has the Ogre axe, and he has a Boots travel queued up. No,
oh my God.
These Beastcoast blinks.
C-Smile just trying to escape. There's so many ways to catch him, though. Eventually, he's going to get ran down. So they'll bring down the Tiny. LGD immediately heading off towards the Roche pit.
Yeah, as I said, though, nothing to say farming up. He was like the lowest in terms of their little tricore they've got going on. Now he's starting to catch back up, taking that Trinity of strength right now towards that Roche pit. Grab this Aegis here, and I mean, probably for nothing to say. I'm sure they can throw it on anyone, honestly, and it's going to be okay.
I think the other 2 cores, Ame and Faith Beyond, are really tanky. It's pretty unlikely for them to die. Faith Beyond took, what, 3 rounds of spells from Tiny just to take him down on the mid lane, so nothing to say. He's going to walk up, make space for the Infest Bombs on the Axe, Marcy to be able to jump in on him, so...
I thought it would be nothing to say, too. So I thought they would want to hide Faith Beyond with the Infest Bomb, but they actually handed over to Ame instead. I guess Ame's now going to play maybe on the Radiant side a lot.
Nothing to say. He's probably just going to farm the back jungles. He's not really going to show as much if he jumped. Use the Bloodstone, just farm his BKB, hit his timings.
In comparison to where Ame's sitting right now in the Radiant Ancients.
Ame is not afraid. That is one thing I've learned.
It's taking gold, taking the enemy jungle is pretty much it's negative gold for the enemy team. You're farming their camps, and you're getting the same amount of gold you would get from your side, but now the other team's not getting anything. So it's just really good when you are able to kind of take the map away from them.
Well, they are doing that indeed, and LGD all across it, farming out everything that they can get their hands on.
It's good to have the North American pro player here to talk about farming jungle.
Yeah,
it is what our region is best at. We are well known for just not really doing a whole lot on the map, but ensuring that those neutral creeps die.
Why you got to do that too soon, man? Unbelievable. Well, 9-15, spear down, the call to turn, and Whisper in some trouble. C-Smile throws out one salvo of spells, Zinq living through it. Whisper is in trouble and going to die, and in fact, they picked a fight with the wrong combo. Gojira tries to move into position, stun is there, and K1 moves. Where's the damage? Do they have enough? The CM ulti actually brings down Faithion.
Nice hold on the chrono, too. Not wasting it there. No panic in terms of a turnaround play there, maybe from the Marcy or something.
This game's been a lot slower from Hector, but I think a lot of it is mostly in the back of just his draft. The team doesn't have the nukes to throw in chrono, so he's having to put a lot more emphasis on his own farm compared to the last game. And
not enough down here. Ame is completely alone.
It's actually so strange to see a team stall out a lead after losing Aegis. Like, they haven't really grown it very much right now.
Oh, they can't quite get him.
Nice rage.
Ame had some sad memories by this tower, but he's making good ones here. Gojira chased, does go in, brings the kill their direction. LGD not willing to give up this lead that they've been building.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
9,000 gold, 21 minutes in the game. It's feeling a little tough, a little scary. Beastcoast still, they have strong spells. Every single one of their heroes spells. They don't have these heroes who, need a lot of items to fight.
Oh, I know.
Just Hector.
I know this one. I know what's good versus spells. BKBs.
There it is.
That one's good, right?
Are the BKBs coming out for LGD soon?
They are coming out pretty soon. We gotta watch. I mean, this is the window, right? As you said, they have the spells on Beast Coast, so if they're gonna try and find something, it's a sliver of time between Aegis and BKBs here for them.
Well, a big opening as Faithion brazenly running forward, and the smoke to TP out is going to occur.
Under attack.
As you can see, Beast Coast dodge away. Whisper still hiding out. The scan connects. That might make him think that he TP'd away. He's still, in fact, in the area. Spear shows.
Oh, down bottom at the same time. That's a fresh BKB.
That is a big one. Zinq goes down. Faithion trying to make something of it. Y catches with the arena, looking for the bigger target. He wants Hector. Faithion leaves C-Smile behind to find the bigger prize, and Gojira dead too. The glimpse, they had all the time in the world. C-Smile tries to TP out. Not gonna happen. LGD keep this going.
This is one of those games you're going to watch and you're going to go queue up Disruptor later, and it might not look this good. This is one of the best situations you can be on this hero. You have all this follow-up damage. All you got to do is bring him back to the fight afterwards. You're so far ahead, keeping the snowball rolling, and now right onto the high ground with a Leshrac.
His static storms have also been amazing. He always is catching the tiny specifically. He'll wait just as the tiny blinks in, catches him, breaks up the combo with the silence, and it's just really hard to play into.
Oh, and they find him. Another kill here as CM did not stand a chance. LGD, they just keep running at them. Jump spear, looking for it. Do they have enough for the Leshrac? Arena down. A good stun. Gojira there. Can they get the kill? Nothing to say. Living through. He's getting out of there. He's starting to get brought down, though. Hector on top and finds Ame. Almost gets a kill. He leaves it behind. Ame, he survives. They bring down the Aegis now. They were waiting for it. They're hoping for a bigger hit, but it's not going to be there. Spear, connection, a glimpse back onto one. C-Smile in far, tossing it to his teammates, trying to keep himself alive, but it won't happen. The Rock Man is brought down, and LGD still standing tall.
They're running out of gas here on Beast Coast.
Hoping for something, anything. Ame. Oh my God! That one hurt. The taunt, the spear, the connection. Hector trying to survive through this. They've left for a very long time, though. Wait a minute. C-Smile, the rest of Beast Coast, are they doing it? It doesn't quite look like it. Hector backs away.
Rage in two?
They keep the chase going. Another spear. It comes too late. The rage is out. Ame still lives. Faithion very low. They're keeping the damage on him to break the blinks. Gojira with the stun. Are they actually doing this? Beast Coast, they find another. Why? Gone! How? How? They won that fight.
It just kept going. The fight just continues. They stand by. They feel like maybe they can't get away. That's a massive gain for Beast Coast right now. Almost a 4K, actually over a 4K swing there with a couple of buybacks spent from Beast Coast. Lots of experience, of course, being piled into these heroes right now. I mean, it's going to be a long replay.
Very long fight. Nothing to say. It looks like he's going to live. He gets the Bloodstone off the very last second. He heals off that creep wave. You can see how strong the item is right here when he lives. But
I actually can't believe he lived so long. And then like the chrono comes out right after that too. And yeah, I guess it really was just, you only have so much at this point, right? It is only 25 minutes of the game. This is a little bit earlier than you'll see most teams head to that high ground, trying to rely on the damage of Leshrac, I would say, to like bring this down early. And then this, right, where they jump back in after. They keep it going on the come up there.
Xingqiu looks like he's gonna die, but he gets the life steal from Sidekick and his ult. And at this point, hold that thought.
They'll find another. Gojira. This is a kill onto the Nyx Assassin, I think. No! Doesn't get lucky with the spin, but they'll find him with the dust. So that is a pickup that they need. As the lead was brought down to just 6K, they'll find Stinger here. Fly still in the area. As the CM brought into the embrace of Faith Beyond on that axe. 11 stacks now. The calling armor.
This doesn't make the game just like suddenly even or anything, right? They got these kills, but what it does to me is that like, I feel like now there's actually a real chance there's a fight with the Tiny Eggs. And on the a more even footing than I would have expected just a few minutes ago. And so for Beastcoast, that's got to be the goal for them right now.
Yeah, I think all they need is the Tiny Axe and maybe even a DD. He has one right now, but fortunately, no.
He's got to farm really fast.
He has to get in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It feels Xingqiu, no chance there for the kill. And appreciating the TP out there by Whisper, who's able to survive through it. What an insane game that we've had so far, an insane series. And LGD, they just felt so invincible, and they really weren't. After enough time, the buybacks, you will lose that fight if it keeps going. So BKB blink on that Mars. You can see the damage numbers done. This is going to be amplified that much further if we actually get into the Aghanim Scepter for the Tiny. Next couple of minutes going to be pivotal. And LGD, again, they have to win this game to keep their TI hopes alive.
Yeah, and if you're Beastcoast right now, you're hoping for a longer spawn on this Rosh, right? Maybe there's a chance that you actually have the Aghanims by the time it comes up. Get like that full 3 minutes here, but we'll find out in 10 seconds. It's like sort of a window they're working with.
And the BKB's done for nothing to say, also the plate mill. And he's just really tanky now, and we're probably not going to see. The Nyx has been dealing with him really well this entire game, especially with the mana burn. You saw it last fight, I think it does 500 damage every single mana burn, burns so much mana. But now his BKB is invulnerable. He probably has a way more save from Ame being able to infest him in the fights. And also, I think Ame is probably going to try to pick up the Shard this game. It works really well with the Leshrac, and that's probably their goal. They want the second Rosh, he'll get a free Shard, he gets the Aegis, and that's... You know, again, it's the second Rosh. That's the big one.
Yeah, and it wasn't the full 3 minutes, but you'll take it right now for Beastcoast. That is a bit of time there to get the Aghanims up. And they go into the pit, they smoke out, perhaps trying to bait a play here in case Beastcoast has vision of the pit.
They aren't going to, and you can also see that this extra time, it's not just an Axe for Tiny, it's also an Axe for the Nyx Assassin. Almost completed now, 400 gold away.
Crazy. I mean, that's great high ground defense. Considering the way their high ground functions on LGD, you could sort of see what happened down bottom with like how fully committed you are with a Lifestealer and an Axe. It can be very hard to get that good jump when you have this burrowed unit sitting up there.
Thankfully for the Lesh, it's still a 9-second BKB. Jumps in just a little off the mark there. Faith Beyond very close. And Infest again. Whisper gives the tip.
They're always so fast. They show up to the initial play, not infested and together, and then they instantly infest, instantly TP, try to make a play somewhere else across the map because they just showed. They give this, you know, information. They're like, the Axe is top, but he instantly TPs mid, they smoke up, and this is how you get the fast plays. Maybe on Whisper on the mid lane, maybe on Hector bot. They're going to try to look for just any kill that they can get on the map.
Have the Leshrac right there. The rest of LGD going for the wrap. We'll see if Hector is found. They see both of them on the lane. This is dangerous. Hector caught, looking for the impale. Not going to happen. An easy pickup and exactly what LGD needed. 70 seconds, no void.
Oh, he actually had 5-act too. I'm not sure what happened there. But gone now.
Who, Hector?
Yeah.
200 gold play now.
Out the Mjolnir recipe.
Oh, he did. Yeah. Okay.
Jump in, find another. CM dead. Just good movement. LGD, when the fights get a little bit wild, obviously they're in a really good position on Beastcoast, but when they find them in the open field, Beastcoast cannot stand toe-to-toe with LGD.
Oh, those picks are absolutely massive because they want that fight around the Roach Pit with the Chrono and the Tiny Eggs, right? I mean, that's the dream scenario for Beastcoast, right? To be fair, it's likely going to be a lot easier to do that fight on the high ground, especially with the